Testing.
David, are you ready? Hello? We're okay? Okay, so this is the December 14th, 2023 Montecito Board of Architectural Review consent items. Item C1 has dropped. We'll take care of that officially at the full meeting. Item C2. Is there anybody here? Bruce Lavins? For both preliminary and final 350 San Ysidro Road. So Claire, have you had a chance to take a look at this, please?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. And do you have any comments, please?
No,
And I did not.
no, I think, no, in fact, I actually, my comment actually was there was a lovely set of drawings. I mean, it was really well presented. Yeah.
Okay. So we only recommend to the full board. And we will recommend for both preliminary and final, yes?
Yes.
Yes, as submitted. But, and that's gonna happen, and then they will officially vote on it in about maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15. There's some administrative stuff we have to go through first. So thank you for coming in. And you can wait or you can leave.
Yeah.
To date, they've never gone against us, but there's always your project that might be the first.
Yeah. I mean, there's no problem with it.
Yeah.
It's just all of the stuff we have
Yeah.
to do. And what we're saying is we're going to approve it,
We're gonna recommend it.
recommend approval to the full board, you know, so ultimately you don't have to wait around for any of that. That would be good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, let's, item. Are we on? I'd like to call the December 14th, 2023 Montecito Board of Architecture Review to order. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on some issue that's not on our agenda today, please? David?
Not seeing any requests to speak on this item.
Yeah. Okay. Item number 2, agenda status report. David, please.
We do have two changes to today's agenda. Item C1 has requested a continuance to your January 11th hearing, and item number 7 has requested a continuance to your next available agenda, which in this case is January 25th for standard item agendas.
Do I have a motion to that effect, please?
Make a motion to continue.
Mike.
Thought I hit it. Was I? No? Can you hear me? I make a motion to continue item 7 to the January 25th or whatever is next available. And item C1
To the 11th.
to the what?
11th.
The 11th.
I'll second. Any further discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes of the 30th. Has anybody got anything, please?
And so, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out that the email that we had about the Rancho San Carlos, I just left that as is so we could discuss it in an open meeting.
Yeah, perfect. So item number 6, comment number 2, eliminate tree lights, replace with path lights. I did, as many of you know, I review everything usually a day before, which I did yesterday, and this is exactly backwards. I had Soren, the planner, go back and re-listen to our tape, and we were okay with that. So I'd like to eliminate comment number 2 entirely. And that is all I have on that. Does anybody else have anything? I'd like to move for approval of the November 30th, 2023 minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second, I'll second that.
Any further discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
And I believe we have 2 abstentions.
I abstain. Yeah.
Okay, great. Got it. Thanks.
Okay, members informational briefing. Anybody go anywhere, do anything? A staff update. David, Kimberly, please.
Just a reminder that planning and development, and I think many county departments will be closed from the
23rd, I think it is Saturday.
I'm sorry. So, right. So the last day that the county is open, I'll put it that way, is next Friday. And then the county will open the day on the Tuesday, the 2nd.
The 22nd of January 2nd.
And that's all I had.
This Friday?
No, next Friday.
No, we're open next Friday. Next Friday is the last day the county's open.
Last day is the 5th.
Yeah.
Clear as mud.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for me unless Willow has something.
Willow's.
Yeah, no, Kimberly's out today, but I don't have any updates.
Very good, thank you. Okay, item Montecito consent agenda, we just continued item C1. Item C2, we actually have the applicants here in the audience. Claire, did you want to make a motion on that, please?
Yes, I will make a motion. Motion for preliminary and final approval
As submitted,
as submitted.
and I'll second that. Is there any further discussion, please? Okay, this has for preliminary, so is there anybody that would like to address the board on item C2, please? Public comment.
No request to speak.
Okay, all those in favor, please?
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys are good. Okay, thank you. Okay, on to the regular agenda. Item number 1, Restoration Hardware. You guys here, 1486 East Valley Road.
So I apologize. We're having some issues with our wireless mics. The only ones, this one's working and then the podium mic is working. So may have to take turns.
Whatever you want to do, whatever you're happy with, please.
And so the applicant has submitted various files. Just let me know which one you want to work on.
I just want to
Oh,
say,
let me read the minutes. Excuse me. I'm sorry I didn't do this. Remove uplighting from proposal to study palm trees in front of structure. Consider pulling away from the building or using different types of trees. Those were our comments. We are on today for, it should be just final. Is that right? Yeah, for final. Okay, so you received preliminary last time. Yes, go ahead, please.
thank you. And also we received a few comments prior to the meeting that we're happy to respond to today about lighting and the ADA signage.
Okay.
So we will do that. We're going to focus on some details.
There are 5 sets of drawings here. I went through it fairly extensively yesterday. If the board wishes me to kind of help focus in on just the comments that I thought were important, we can do that. If you want them to do the whole thing. There was kind of an issue, should they be on consent or not? And because it was unclear, they're here today. But, okay, so Nicole, if you can just focus in on the issues that I think I've raised, and then I think Bill may have 1 or 2. So go ahead.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'm here with Brian Faust, our architect, and we'll go through the sheets, just focusing on those details we were asked to add and the questions that came in prior to the meeting. So are all the sets open there, David? Start with the first set. Can you go to page 5.3 and 5.4? I think it might be the 4th set. Yeah. No, I think it's the next set. Yeah, 5.3 and 5.4. So we added 2 sheets of details per your direction at the last meeting, and we'll go through those now.
Yeah, with details on 5.3 and 5.4, I believe the comment that came up was basically details 7 on this sheet, and it was 4 on the next, basically the caps for the mechanical screens. The request was to have more of a continuous kind of plaster cap over the top of them, which is fine. We do have a little bit more of a modern detail with the flashing going over the top. So I did some quick hand sketches. Probably isn't easy.
So you're
to do
okay
that,
with
but
changing it to plaster?
yeah, and having a continuous cap over the top as opposed to a metal cap.
Well, just to interrupt, I mean, you show a metal skin on there too, though, right?
Or the mechanical well over top of the second floor story, we do have a metal panel that is going up over top of that one, yes.
And what's your comment about that?
Well, I was asking, wondering why that's metal and the other is plaster.
I believe the intent of that was to basically paint it out so that it's going to be the same color of the roof so that it kind of goes away a little bit visually. So we could make it a plaster and paint it that color, or metal might be easier to do.
Comment on that
Okay.
later.
And then 5.4, same detail, please. Is it same consideration with the plaster cap? Ryan?
Can you go to 5.4?
Yeah, there you go. Detail 4 there. We can change that to be a continuous cap of plaster that'll sit on top of the wall.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Yes. Next, please.
7.7, I think it's in the same set, David. Thank you. Oh, yeah. The handrail and railing.
Brian, if I could, so right at facing East Valley, there's a handicapped lift on the west side and a handrail on the right side. And so please,
One of the comments there was basically just making the handrail look a little less contemporary and a little more historic there. So I looked through the photographs that I have there, and the existing handrail that's in there has a kind of swooping curly Q on the top and the bottom. And so we can take that detail, we can move the stanchions in, and we can put that detail to replicate that same detail on the handrails.
as everybody, what they have here is contemporary, would you call it? Yeah, contemporary handrail. And does the board feel it's better to have a contemporary handrail or a more traditional handrail on this building, please?
I mean, I think more traditional would probably be more acceptable, you know, 1x1 with a twist in it on the stanchions and maybe a lamb's tongue with a bloom cap.
Can you get that done on the lift as well, the handicapped lift?
I did have a quick question about that. You're referring to the guardrails that come up out of the ground? Is that what you're referring to?
Is this completely buried? 99% of the time, is it completely buried?
Correct. All you'll see is the steps in the handrail most of the time, unless somebody's actually using it.
So, and it comes pre-built with the more contemporary guardrail?
The handrail, the handrail is separate from the actual lift thing, so we'll be providing that. The guardrails that pop up out of the ground are just like solid panels that pop up out, and that's part of the system.
Oh, yeah, traditional as well, right?
Well, I don't think he has a choice on that. That's part of the manufacturer's lift.
No,
Yeah, the guardrails that pop out of the ground are just intended to be kind of like a solid panel, basically. I mean, we could maybe etch some design in them or something, but you're not really going to see it most of the
there's
time.
a handrail next to it.
Yeah, that should be the same.
Okay, same, yeah.
Just dealing with the handrail, we can leave the panels to,
Leave the panels the way they are. That may never get used, you know?
you won't see it most of the time anyways, so.
Okay, next, please.
You had questions about the signage for the accessibility space in the back? Somebody did.
The which space?
The signage for the ADA parking space.
No, it wasn't about the space, it was about the signage. And the comment was, at some point, you're gonna have to put up the blue signs, right? And my comment is, I'd much rather have you guys figure out where that goes rather than the contractor. So, you know, it was just, can you get those on there discreetly? That was what my comment was. Not about the ADA space in the back. You're gonna have that. It's gonna have van accessible towing, all that stuff. But I was more concerned about here at the front elevation or the south elevation. Where the heck are you gonna put that sign?
Gotcha. So you can see on detail 4, there's this, towards the left there's a stanchion that's kind of standing up there, and I have a note pointing to that, where it says accessible wheelchair lift controls. So that'll be a about 4 foot by 4, not 4 foot, 4 inch by 4 inch kind of post that comes up, has the buttons on it, and it'll have the sign on that as well.
You don't think you'll need to do it at the door?
Well, you'll also have a button up at the top of the stairs with a sign as
I
well.
don't think it's gonna have to be at the door as well.
You mean just a sign saying that this is an accessible entry?
I think, John, that can be achieved by a decal
Well,
on the glass, I think.
I've seen other jurisdictions do it as a
Please.
decal.
okay. And then the last issue was the lighting. Can we go to that? There was 2 issues there. One was fixture F7. Did you see that located on the drawings? And is that in or is it not in? And if it's in, which fixture is it, please?
Yes, we got an updated lighting information that was sent over to the planner.
We sent updated specs. Oh, here, this is it. Yeah.
This,
Can you go to the second page of that document? There's a summary of yeah,
see, F7 doesn't.
it's
show
not
here.
there. You're right. So you're saying it shows up on the
Shows
plans?
up on the plans.
Can we go to the lighting sheet, David?
Next to the fireplace, please.
Where is that?
On the patio?
It's a full set of plans.
The lighting sheet is the last sheet of the last set. No, I think you had it open already.
Hands,
Yeah.
last sheet. On the right-hand side where the fireplace is, if you zoom in right over there, there's F7s. See them right underneath the trees. And I'll bet you anything that they're not dark sky compliant. So F7, are they in or are they out, please?
They're in, and I believe the F7 is in the package that
No, it's not.
it's not in the package. I got an email from
I printed all this lighting stuff. So I'm trying to figure, I mean, because I did look at all
Yeah,
of it. This particular project, I looked all the way through.
yeah.
yes, so I have a spec sheet from the lighting consultant for the F7.
What is it?
It's a small kind of monopoint light that will come out and point it to that. And it can have shields on it to limit the light and pull it down towards.
And down.
Well, it's going to be pointing towards the tree trunk. So I guess it's not going to be pointed like straight up vertically. So it's going to be pointed at an angle, fixed, locked in, and it has a shield on it to keep the lighting from going vertically up.
Okay, and then let's look at F6, if you could, the actual fixture. That's on the last page, the 8.5 by 11 exhibits that you had up, David. Yeah, F6. I think it's 6. No, keep going. That's it. Okay, so where is this located, ladies and gentlemen? They have a front door, they've got a building, and on the northwest corner, they have a patio. And in that patio, they have these lights. They're saying that they're going to be pointing at the wall, the landscape wall. My comment was this could easily be twisted by someone in 3 years who wasn't part of this project and point them up. And I thought that that would therefore not be night sky compliant. And I asked them to address this issue today. Please,
I guess the
sky compliant.
human element is hard to design for. In the sense that anyone could come in at any time and
Turn it up.
turn something upwards. The intention is that they're not, that they're locked in. You can see that they have the flaps on them to, again, direct the light to where it isn't to be focused. So,
And you're planning on pointing them to the wall.
yes.
Anybody else have any questions that had a chance to review the drawings?
The gate that you have, the auto gate, is that a perforated metal piece? How thick is that? That metal grill that goes into those panels?
Yes, the intent is to create kind of like a grid work of some larger steel components and then put in some panels that have been kind of cut out to create that kind of lattice work.
What's the thickness of that material, though? Inch, quarter inch?
Have like a 1/4 inch panel, so it's
So
as
thick.
thin as we can to make it stiff, so it's not
It's
gonna
not gonna oil can.
oil
then.
can and stuff,
Okay.
yeah.
That was all I had.
Anybody else, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Claire.
Or go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Claire.
Oh, is the fixture just the top part of this and then the rest of the bottom of it, is that under the ground?
I believe,
Well, because of the wherever people are gonna have to walk by this. And if it's in the ground, they probably won't trip, but if it's out of the ground and they're gonna walk by it, that's an interruption to the people who are walking by it.
yeah, I believe this fixture goes just inside the planting area. So not in the hardscaped area where people are gonna be walking, but it'll just be right inside of the planted area. So out.
And is the fixture, the bottom of it buried, or or is it just the fixture halfway up is
I
what I'm
believe you'll
talking-
see that.
just the
bottom
fixture, but
stanchion.
not that can below?
No, I think you'll see that can part there. And then there'll be other guts that'll be buried down inside of the
Okay.
ground.
No, I don't like that picture.
Any other questions, Rob?
So, and this was the project with the palm trees, I haven't
Yes, it
heard.
is.
So is that issue that's still
Talk to
up
them.
for discussion? I did send, I don't know if you received those. My concern was two issues on the date palms that was spec. One was I felt that the date palm is a pretty stately tree. And when you kind of shove them up against a building, you lose kind of that, the stature of that tree. And then the other concern was I have years of experience of seeing that particular tree. There's two date palms. The one in Santa Barbara is Canariensis, and that performs just fine. But the dactylifera that was being spec'd, it kind of grows down in the desert and it really likes heat. And so I had sent some pictures where I have experience where they just don't perform up here, or, in my experience. So that was more of a concern for, the outcome of your project a few years down the road, that the tree is not going to look that great. So I was just maybe thinking you might want to consider another palm.
Are you willing to do it? It's
That's
the
up to
question,
you.
to swap out the species.
Yeah, I believe they want to stay with the species that we have on the drawings.
Any other questions, please? Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 1486 East Valley Road Restoration Hardware, please? Anybody?
No request to speak.
Comments. These were the only things that I thought that the board would not embrace. And so, Rob, do you feel strongly enough on that palm tree to require them to change the palm, or should they do?
It's not an exact science. And so I'm just giving them kind of a warning that I have experience that it hasn't performed well up here. It doesn't like the coast. It's possible that being up in the village that there's a little more heat, but I've never seen that palm used. They tried to use it at UCSB and and it's failed. So it was just kind of a friendly warning. I mean, it's your choice. My other concern though was trying to get the palm trees as far away from the building as possible so they don't look kind of smashed up against the building, because I think you lose that stature if you don't. So I mean, it's a lovely tree. It's just I want it to be successful for you. That's all.
Okay, what do people feel about this light, please? It's in the back. It's not in the front on the street. I don't know how much you guys drive around here, but Mount Carmel is on East Valley right at Hot Springs. Caddy Corner is a property that decided to uplight their trees, and it's just, I'm trying to do everything I can to keep that from happening, and I think that you guys are setting yourselves up to have that happen at some point here, and I'm not really excited about it. I would love to see some other fixture that does not have the potential for human error or human individual expression come in. So that's my particular feeling. I don't know what other members of the board feel.
What about how tall the trees going in that you're putting the lights in? Or how tall the trees you're trying to light?
They're not trying to light the tree. They're trying to light the
The
wall.
wall.
Oh, they're trying to wash the wall. Okay. I'm fine. I mean, I've done that myself where you use a fixture that you kind of direct and you just try to backlight or wash something. So I think
Yeah.
it's done all the time,
So
Was-
you're okay with it?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're there lighting the trees and they were doing moonlight,
Yeah.
then get them in the canopy, so.
Are you okay? Anybody?
Is it specified on the plans how they're gonna use them?
Sort of, but
Can we condition? the
Yeah, can we,
approval
see?
with
Yeah,
that?
can we see the actual plan of where this, yeah, that's what I was at. So it's
upper
over.
left, keep going up there, right there. It's the F6, right in that little. You see,
Could the same pin spot that you're going to use for the F7 be used there too? It's going to achieve the same thing, isn't it? Isn't the F7, is that one to point? That was a little cylinder you said? That's to shine on the wall too, or is that going into the tree there?
I mean, possibly, I probably want the lighting designer to comment before I change her, her work, but, we can consider it, yeah.
It seems like it might be a smaller,
it's gonna be
Mixture.
this big wash rather than that big of a wash.
that's what I mean. Yeah, I was thinking, if it's a pin spot, maybe it's going to be a less of a concern versus the one which looks like a, production lamp. So that would be,
So is F6 good with you or not? Yay or nay, please?
I'm okay with F6. Well, F6 is the big
It's the
wide.
Big one.
I suppose if it was conditioned just to show it shine on the wall, but I'd prefer the pin spot, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
It's like,
Okay,
Can I clarify that dimensions of that fixture are 4.5 by 2.5? I think that's the actual light. So it's pretty small, if that helps picture.
How tall is the wall?
6 foot.
it's right there on the,
Yeah, on separating that from the village. So I'm
separating it from their own driveway.
from their own driveway.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's as you drive up their driveway, just before you turn into the parking lot.
yeah.
It's on the inside of that.
mostly.
I guess I'm confused why that a 6 foot wall needs that much light, but I thought for a while there it was on the building, not just a low wall.
That patio is going to be, have merchandise on it. So the intention is that people would be out in the patio looking at merchandise. So potentially after hours, when it's 5 o'clock and the store's open till 6 or 7.
So,
So I think it adds some ambient light while the store is open. Exactly.
so you're just gonna get kind of a little glow over the top of the wall. You're not seeing the source basically because it's on the inside. Yeah, I think it's fine if it's used in that manner itself.
Okay, so any other comments, please? Let me try a motion and please do not hesitate to suggest alternatives. I'd like to move for final approval with the applicant to provide fixture F7 for review by the planner in consultation with the chair of the MBAR. At least as of right now, we'll see what happens at the beginning of the year. And we're okay with F6. And what about change out the metal caps, the coping with some cement plaster and anything else?
Yeah, I would also recommend the plaster screen on both enclosures.
Okay,
And then,
That's easy to accommodate.
yeah, and then the more historic handrail.
and a more historic handrail in all locations. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Happy holiday. Item number 2, 796 Buena Vista Avenue, please. Will Soffren. You may have to push the little button, the bar. There you go. Thank you. So floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. What I'd like to do is just start off with a quick, brief historical narration and then jump into the plans because this project as proposed has sort of been a fun head scratcher for the planning staff. The current property owner purchased the property with a primary structure that was in a dire condition from the previous.
Mic is-
It is on.
I know, no, but I can see it's on, but up. Yes,
That better?
Yeah.
Okay. The current property owner purchased the property and primary structure was in dire condition because the previous owner was a developer who had done a considerable amount of demolition without a permit, and that compromised the integrity of the structure. So the current homeowner or property owner was required to, it was determined needed to demolish the structure. They pulled a permit, demolished it. At the end of demolition, our structural engineer deemed the foundation still sound to preserve. And we're in the process of designing a new primary structure for the property. The design process is taking a considerable amount of time, and we have this gaping hole on the property. So we'd like to put a cover over that foundation so that there is not a big hole in the property. And especially considering last year's rainy season, we have concerns about this coming rainy season, although it's been a little dry so far. Planning staff, because the primary structure was demolished, there needs to be a primary structure in order for us to put a cover over this foundation. There can't be an accessory. So the solution from planning staff was to convert the permitted cabana on the property to the primary structure so that we can legally put a cover over the foundation until the new primary structure is submitted and approved to build. So I'm here today to just run through the proposed project. It is a conceptual submission, but I'd like to request a consideration of this being a final because we're not changing the cabana at all. It is as built. We are legally changing the classification of it, although we are adding a pergola to it. Would it be possible to go to sheet A1.0? Okay, this is our proposed site plan. Does the mouse here work? Great, fantastic. So what we've got is we've got the property site right here, and we've got the location of the proposed cabana or the existing cabana that's going to be converted to the primary structure. What we have right here existing is the open foundation. And so this is what we'd like to put a steel cover over. The cover is steel with concrete on top of that. That is what has been proposed by our structural engineer as the safest way to cover that foundation to protect its structural integrity until a new primary structure is constructed. Here is a proposed two-car covered parking stall per the requirement, because if this is now going to be a primary structure, we are required to have a two covered parking spaces. We have a third uncovered parking space right here that is required. I'd like to bring up at this point too that the project has gone through all of its case clearances and has been reviewed by the fire department, which waived the requirement for hammerhead turnaround because they do understand the situation that we're working with. Let's see, can I go down page to page, or is that not? Okay, gotcha. Can we please go to sheet A 2.0? This is 2.0 is the existing floor plan.
I don't think we need to get into the floor plans.
Okay,
I thought the sections were important.
great. Would you like me to go to the sections of the cabana?
The parking structure with the driveway going down.
Okay, let's go to sheet A 3.1.
Not that I've looked at them.
Okay, A 3.1 is the structure that we're building to provide two covered parking spaces. It's going to be essentially sort of a steel frame structure that then is going to have solar panels on top of it to provide the covering.
What's the one that's got the ramp down, please?
Let's go then to sheet A 4.1. And these are the plan views for the proposed foundation that's going to be covered. I'm just going to quickly kind of help familiarize everyone. At grade, above grade, all this will be a flat steel cap. This is going to be a bit of a raised structure because what we'd like to do is create access. So we'll have stairs and a ramp leading down. This is the interior of the foundation. There's a big boulder right here. If we could go to sheet A 4.2, these are the at grade elevations. And this is just again to provide access and entry. We're proposing that we clad the exterior with some Santa Barbara rock in a jagged pattern, some wooden gate doors to kind of add a bit of a rural structure look. If we can go to sheet A 4.3, these are our cross sections leading down into the foundation. You can see that we have a ramp section right here. Then right here, we're going to have a stair section that will lead down. This is a perpendicular cross-section view where you can see the stairs, you can see the ramp, and you can see the foundation space. And this gives you an idea of, again, what will be projected above the surface. If you'd like, I can show you there's a 5.1 or color boards, material boards, but just sort of an inspiration image that we've got right here for the covered parking space, the trellis. And this is the Fossil Creek stone irregular pattern that we'd like to use for cladding that structure. That's going to be the access entry to the that open foundation storage area. And again, the goal of this is to create a safe property until the design has been finalized for a new primary structure and has been permitted for construction.
Questions, please. Let's just go down. Rob?
I don't have.
Yep.
You mentioned about you're in the process of doing a new residence. So what are you doing here today? Is it like will be for what, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or?
I'd like to say 1 year, but let's be realistic. Let's say 2 years, probably. I think, it depends how long our design process takes and then also permitting the design and going through the mechanism and process.
And there'll be a new pool.
There'll be, yes, thank you for catching that. I forgot to bring that up. There's a proposed swimming pool that is part of this as well.
Where is it on the site plan?
Yes. Can we go back to A 1.0? I apologize. So right here, if everyone can see where I'm moving the cursor, we've got a proposed in-ground swimming pool, and then there's a proposed fence around it. For now, the idea is we want to put the swimming pool here, and keep in mind so that this the cabana can be used as a primary residence. We can use it, enjoy the property while the design process is occurring.
And the pool cabana is built?
The pool cabana is permitted and built, and we are proposing no changes other than adding this attached pergola to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Claire, please. Dave, please. Questions?
What is the new basement structure being permitted as?
The new base, according to planning, it is classified as just an existing accessory structure. So we can't permit it as anything until the cabana is permitted or legally converted to a primary structure. And then the existing foundation is going to be classified as an existing accessory structure.
Are you going to use that roof for the new residence eventually?
That's the goal. That's why we're saving it.
Bill, please. Questions?
So you mentioned a steel steel roof? Is it- So you're going to try and maintain the footprint of that basement in the new design in some fashion,
Yes, sir.
metal roof or whatever it is.
Yeah, so it'll be a steel cordon roof with concrete on top. And so this has been specified by the structural engineer.
It'll become the floor.
Probably, yes,
Level.
likely will be an integral part of the new
Okay.
design.
And are you going to color that, texture it? Is it just going to be concrete?
We were just gonna do concrete on top. We could color the concrete, tint it to maybe match the rock cladding that we would like to put around the access area so that it's not so harsh in the environment. It's not this eyesore.
Had you also considered that cover that's going to go down to the basement
Mm-hmm.
as just a structure, just a wood frame, little building to match the other, instead of this, what looks like kind of a bomb shelter sort of, and save the cost of stone? Was any of that discussion?
I'd like to say that, but the engineer was sort of vicious about defending sort of his concrete approach for this. And I think the homeowner did sort of like the appeal of not having this random structure with like a normal roof, kind of like the slope, and maybe helped it disappear the topography, because we also have, as the lot moves from south to north, there is a steep inclination of grade moving up. So if you were at the cabana here, this sort of slope structure would disappear with the topography of the landscape, the natural topography.
Okay, right, that was it. Thanks.
Robert,
This is just curious. So if this is going to be the slab for the new house, are you going to come in and drill in anchor bolts and hold downs into that after the fact? It's just going to be a flat slab. There's not going to be bolts sticking out, right?
That's correct, sir. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No.
Yeah, we're proposing that this will be a flat slab on top, but that will be to protect, there is a full in-ground foundation. So I have faith that our structural engineer is approaching this project in such a way so that what we're going to be doing with producing this flat roof will allow for us to integrate the construction of the new primary structure and incorporate it into the effort that we're making today.
And how deep is the basement?
I believe the basement goes to, I want to say 10 feet deep in the ground. We can look at it at the section,
So
which
it's a
is 4.3.
Full-blown basement. Okay.
It is a full-blown basement.
No more questions.
have you considered the fact that you probably will be required to have a second means of egress from the basement?
When we construct the primary structure, you mean?
Oh, now,
Planning staff has not,
that's building department.
I mean, it's not going to be a habitable space.
Okay, so the answer is no. Okay, so,
As far as the pool goes, you have a cabana. My understanding was that when you have a cabana, the pool has to be 45 feet, not in this, no longer, that they finally abandoned that rule?
no, it's going to be a primary residence.
Okay, so I guess my other question, and I'm just kind of wondering is you're showing a pool and all these kind of hardscape things, and I guess my concern would be that normally, you design the architecture and then the hardscape and landscape kind of evolves and extends from the architecture, and so I'd be concerned that you're kind of boxing yourself into a corner on some of these pieces, and so if you've gone to this level, I mean, why not have at least an architectural concept and at least start to go down that path so you have something you can hang your hat on and then let some of these other things evolve? That's just kind of wondering.
It's I'm not the property owner, and I'm a vehicle, and I can say that we're working on the design, but their priorities are their priorities, and this is their priority is to have a swimming pool now, even though the design is not finalized.
Yeah, no, my concern was you
Yeah.
have a pool and then it doesn't, when you finally get to designing the house, none of it works for where you ended up. That's all. So.
I understand, yeah.
Yep, please. Yeah. Mike, Mike, there you go.
Is the house built yet? I mean, I see the hatches line, what's that? That's,
Or
the other one to the right, yep.
this right here?
No, below that.
Oh, what this is? Oh, this is this is for my BMP requirement to show that we've accounted for enough drainage to meet the tier requirements.
Actually, can we see, site photos?
Yeah, actually site photos, I want to say, are they if we can go the previous couple sheets, we want to go previous.
Beginning.
Yeah, there we go. So the first photo at the top left is from the gate outside, looking at the property. And probably scroll down because we're just looking at exterior property photos. So if we can scroll down, okay, you can see the existing conditions 4 and 5. And these are the conditions that the current property owner purchased the property in.
And where the hole?
Okay, let's go to the right side of the sheet, please. And
No designing for holes in the ground.
And we quote you in the Montecito Journal.
where's the
Morning reviewing a hole.
I may not have a photo on here of the hole. I apologize. I guess when I was working with the planner to put this package together, planning staff was more interested in me focusing on the cabana. So I apologize that I don't have a photo here of the hole. If you want, I can, if there's,
But, I guess one thing I'm really peculiar that, you need to get a permit to, cover that up, build a new garage, build the pool. And then that means, the place is legalized to be occupied because you're converting the pool cabana to the main house.
Mhm.
So I wonder what happens if, the project never move forward.
Well, I think it'd be a really underutilized property if you had this lot and there was this little cabana. And I also like to imagine that the property owner bought it with their goal, and there's been quite a bit of investment in the services to work on designing and improving the property. I feel that there's a full intention.
So that means, I assume someone wants to live there full time.
Someone would live there full time? I can't
That's the
answer that.
idea?
It's not the idea. The only reason why we're doing this is because we would very much love to have had planning staff to have allowed us to permit putting a structure over instead of going through the effort to make the cabana a primary structure and build a covered parking space. We're only doing this because it was planning staff's only way to legally allow us to cover over the open foundation.
But you can also, put some kind of temporary cover as you going through the process of have a new house design. And it seemed like a lot of work going through something that, knowing how slowly everything works around here and things could change,
Is that a question or a comment?
It's a questions. And I'm just trying to understand the project, the long term of the project. Either family moving in or whatever that is, and that could be 5 year, who knows?
I couldn't agree with you more, sir. We would love to build any sort of cover over that structure, and we have been told by the building inspector and building and safety, building staff, as well as the planning staff, that we are not allowed to put anything over to cover that foundation. I mean, for us, the expense right now for the property owner to have me go through this process and do these additional things, they would much rather be focusing on the design instead of wasting time doing
Okay, any other questions, please?
I
Public
got
comment.
one. So when you do get the main house, does that mean you have to flip uses again?
Yes, that was proposed by the planning staff. It's happened before. So what would happen is part of the building permit would allow us to build a new primary structure And within 60 days of getting the CO, we would then file for a conversion of the cabana structure to be an accessory structure again. And that would be a condition issued as part of the permit.
Any other questions, please? Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 2, 796 Buena Vista Avenue, please?
No request to speak on this item.
Okay, so we are on for concept. We are legally not permitted to give you anything, any approvals at all today, period. State law, okay? So comments, what do we think? Where should we go next with this, please? Let's go back to the same order. So Robert, excuse me, Rob, we're up here. Rob,
I think the question I made about the way it's being approached, I guess I'm still a little confused about why you're going in this way. So I'll just kind of hold it to that. And
Tip, please, comments.
You know, as I'm kind of leading to this, I just feel that this is so convoluted, and I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish. And on one hand, you know, I'm concerned we approve something, and suddenly that we only project in Montecito with halfly approve everything. A hole in the ground, the flat roof garage, the pool floating, no landscape plan. And the main house doesn't look like anything. So I'm just don't know what to do about this project, because I think that personally, I think it's a completely wrong way to go about if the owner wants to come in and have a brand new house, and why go ahead and put the pool in now, put a garage in and spend everything. And especially you already have a permit for the project because the cabana has been built already. And yeah.
Sorry, there is no permit on the project. The cabana was existing, so
The cabana was,
so the reason why we're here is we are just trying to get a permit. We have
yeah, so
no,
that's get to another point. Now the cabana is existing. Now you try and get a permit, and you get a permit that I'm not sure what does it do.
To fill the hole.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really more than fill the hole, build the garage and build the pool
Yeah.
and so I don't know. It's one of those things that I think we need to hear from your planner,
say,
my opinion.
okay.
Okay, so Claire, please, comments. David, or Dave, I'm sorry.
So does the cabana isn't permitted now either?
It's tricky because the cabana was permitted, so it's a legal structure, but we're not allowed to have any structures other than a primary structure first. So
Did have a permit.
oh, yes, absolutely. So we have that on record in the plan set, sir.
If you go back later to convert it back to a cabana and your pool isn't the size the county wants, are they going to allow you to convert it to a cabana?
Well, there would be the new primary structure that would then make the pool legal.
I want to design your project for you, but I'm guessing you'll have to do this as an ADU when you convert it back.
Or an artist studio.
Yeah, not a studio. Won't be.
Yep.
Anyways, this is I have the same concerns that Tip does, that we approve something that we wouldn't normally approve because it's an existing condition. We have to have faith that you're going to fix it ultimately, but for me to support the project, I need to have demonstration that it's not visible to the neighbors in the community. That there's a landscape plan for the cabana and the pool area, the parts that you are completing. And I think the carport's okay. It's pretty innocuous, and putting the solar on top makes sense, but we would need detailing on that. But I just want to make sure if this stays in this holding pattern, that it's not going to impact. So landscape would be very important.
Okay, Bill, please, comments?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the same track as Dave and Tip. You know, the cabana, fine, that's fine, okay with that. Pool seems a little tight to the house. Again, I'm not sure what you're gonna do there. The part I worry about is the fact that maybe they'll never get to the house. And so in the meantime, you've got this big pad of concrete sitting out there, about the size of a tennis court or so, maybe a little smaller. Maybe it should be a pickleball court, I don't know. But it just feels kind of like unfinished, in that little bunker building that takes you down into it. If that stays, I think it's not going to look very good on the property over time either. Those are just my comments at this point. So, is there a way to screen that big patio that's going to be out there away with landscaping? That's probably what I would want to see, and how you're going to deal with the treatment around the pool. But I'm fine with obviously the cabana conversion.
Comments, Robert?
I think what he's asking for is reasonable, because he has to get this cabana so that he can embark on the whole rest of the project. And the sooner we can give him that, the sooner he can get this whole thing going. And then, of course, he'll be in for conceptual for the new house and the landscaping and everything else. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to expedite them through this process. And I don't want to hold it up, because I want to see it happen as soon as possible. So he's really only here just to get the cabana reviewed. I mean,
In the pool,
and well,
in the carport.
yeah, the carport's okay, and the cover is really the slab for the new house.
At the new entry building.
That isn't so hot, but that's why I want to see it go away as soon as possible. So I don't know the best way to expedite this, but that's what I would like to see.
That it? Okay, so Montecito has had a number of occurrences where we are left with unfinished properties. Various fires, mud flows, etc. There's stuff up on Hot Springs right across from Casa Dorinda. I mean, so we have properties that are kind of halfway there. And so I think the comment about site photos, ensuring that it's fully landscaped around, we're not here, I don't think, to be the degree of elegance board. I mean, this is what they're asking for. Is this an acceptable proposal? I agree that the swimming pool is a bit odd here in this. That suggests that we're going to be here in this condition for a long time, because you would not want a swimming pool there when you have a lot of construction, dust, debris, workers jumping in the pool, workers, dogs jumping in the pool. So I don't know if we have the right to say no to the pool if it's part of the project, but first of all, I think unfortunately this should come back to the full board, not just who's ever going to do the consent calendar. But I would want you to ask those questions that if you're truly interested in as small a project as possible to get to the larger project, sounds to me like the pool, it's a lot of money that, you'll lock yourself in places that maybe you don't want to. So we will not have a motion. You have heard our concerns, and next time you're going to have to demonstrate somehow full perimeter landscaping and all of that. How you've shown us the entry gate off of Buena Vista, but everything else, so that we know what we're actually dealing with here. And back to the full board, yes?
One thought, the thing that troubles me the most is the entry down into the hole. It looks more like a bomb shelter, and maybe that's, if it's a temporary thing, and then the amount of money you're spending on stone, why not make that look like a garden structure, like a little gazebo or some little garden structure where it has some character, and maybe if it's going to be an interim, at least it looks more appealing than a kind of a bomb shelter.
Mm.
You know, I think what they're doing is they're setting up for underground parking area under there. So that's what it looks like to me.
We don't know, but they,
Yeah, so let's put them back on for preliminary final next meeting. But you are pressing the limits of sort of what our discretion is, but please make it easier for us if you could.
Understood.
Okay? And have a nice holiday.
Thank you. You as well. See you in the new year.
Thank you. Item number 3, Will, are you here, please? 520 Para Grande Lane.
Hello, everybody.
Is that you, Chuck?
I cleaned up, took a shower.
Yeah, I was gonna say the hair, but
Well, there's not very much of that one. That's easy.
okay, so there are 2 public comment letters, which we will get to after your presentation.
Okay.
So please go ahead, please, Will.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Is this
thank you.
working? Okay, great. Let's see, Will Gray, architect for this project. And let's see, we're here for conceptual review of a new residence of 2,300 square feet approximately. The site is located on Para Grande. It's 3 doors up, 3 parcels up from East Valley Road on the east side. Right, and it's shy of a quarter of an acre. It's just a little less than a quarter of an acre. And it is a irregular size, an unusual size parcel. Also of note, it's on the boundary of the smaller lots and parcels of Old Spanish Town that abut East Valley Road, and the larger lots that are along Para Grande as you go north or up the street. And I'd like to, if we could move down a little bit on, also to reinforce that or illustrate that, you can see this is an existing plan showing the existing single-family residence, the house and the garage. The building immediately to the south of it, or bottom of the drawing, is our neighbor at 514 Para Grande, and our carport is approximately 2 to 3 feet away from our property line. Also, off to the east, on the right, on our east property line, that is a residence of another neighboring property, and that is approximately 2 or 3 feet away from our property line. Now, the north building, which is, I believe, 553 Hot Springs, is approximately 75 to 80 feet away from our property line. Just wanted to illustrate that we're right abutting these larger parcels. The existing house dates back to 1880, and the cobblestone garage dates back to 1940 approximately on the Sanborn maps. And if we can go to the next sheet to see the photos of the site, that would be terrific. Just to give you a feeling of the context, the upper right-hand photo is the corner of East Valley Road and Para Grande. It's Mark Phillips's house. The house below that is under construction on the west side of Para Grande in East Valley Road. The third picture below is 514 Para Grande, our neighbor that's 2 or 3 feet away from our property line. It's the Huangs. And below that is the property to the north of us at 553 Hot Springs. And that is the residence that is approximately 70, 80 feet away from our property line. Let's see. So to the left of that photo, you can see a picture of the existing residence that was built in the 1880s, as well as you can see the cobblestone garage in the background. Therefore, we engaged Pam Post Hazeltine to prepare a phase 1, phase 2 study, historical study for the property. And they concluded that both these structures, due to additions over time and remodeling, did not pose any historical potential merit. What they did find was the stone wall, and that is immediately above this photo that I'm referencing. I believe that's 7. This sandstone wall, they did find that it had merit to not only the property, but to the street, Paragrande itself, and is beautiful. So we completely concur and plan to keep this wall and the feeling on the street, restore it and repair it.
Can we just stop? Can we?
Sure.
You're on, you're on.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
on.
David, can we, get the picture of the wall made bigger?
Number 6, right?
I think yeah, I think I just would like to see, yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Okay. And it's, this wall is that the law runs along the whole frontage, right?
It does. Yes, yes. You can see the small cobblestones to the right, that belongs to the neighbor, the Huangs. And we plan to work with them to plant that and
I think you were clear that you're gonna keep that wall.
yes, 100%.
It's gonna keep that, make sure.
Sure,
that
right.
stays there, huh?
And Pam posted, they're requesting that that any project that moves forward, that this is kept. So it's part of the report. If we can go to the next sheet. In studying, we really looked at potentially keeping the existing residents and potentially, and then the following sheet after this. We were looked at keeping the residents, but it just, the foundation was irreparable, and all the systems in the structure of the building were, it would basically be a new building in itself. So we decided the best option is to demolish the 2 structures and proceed with a new residence. Along with removing the 2 buildings, we plan to, there are 3 or 4 citrus trees along the west and south side of the residence that we intend to remove as well, and a ficus where off to the east of the residence that we intend to remove. The existing small oaks and pine trees and citrus, or pine tree and cypress rather, on the east side of the property we intend to keep, as well as on the west side there are there's oak trees, there's an oak tree and a pine tree. Is that right, Chuck? Cedar and spruce that we intend to keep. We also intend to keep the fence around the perimeter of the property, and of course the rock wall along Paragrande. Before we move on, I'd like to point out the existing garage, which is the square structure on the north, does encroach into our setbacks approximately 2 or 3 feet into that side yard setback. Moving on to the next sheet, the proposed site plan, I'd like to define the building envelope. And that is determined on the Paragrande or west side of the property by the center line of Paragrande, 50 feet off the center line. That is the most constrained setback. So that defines this west side of the building envelope. The side yard setbacks, it's a variable, it's an unusual size parcel. So we we did a calculation of average side yard setback and 10% of that. And so we took measurements of the east and west, took the largest measurement. You can see sort of 2/3 of the way over from the west side, and 2 other equal measurements. And we calculated 5'8" as our side yard setback. The rear yard is 25 feet from that east property line. For the plan itself, and we can stay here, we intend to keep the driveway in the same place, but we are proposing a new material, basically a decomposed or a chip seal with the driveway gate. We plan to leave there as well and replace the driveway gate, but that's to be determined at this time. The new garage is located on the southwest corner of the envelope, and the doors, the opening to the garage opens away from the street to the north. The entry of the building is and entry courtyard are immediately to the left of the garage, and that is a defining main axis of the plan, and it runs all the way back through the building, back to the living spaces, dining, living, and kitchen, with a trellis immediately outside of those. And just real quickly, the primary suite is on the north side of this primary axis, and the 2 bedrooms and shared bathrooms are on the south side of the primary axis. Let's see, we were intending to encroach into the side yard setback on the north and south sides with the bedrooms, approximately 8 inches on both. Conditions to give the building a thick wall feeling, but for a number of reasons, we're going to be pulling back on that. And for number one, we wouldn't be able to have operable doors and windows in those walls. And also, we've received some concerns from the neighbors regarding this. So I think when moving forward, we're going to be looking at pulling back this 8-inch encroachment. The FAR for the project is 97%, and
That again, I didn't,
97.
97.
87.
97 percent. And if you move forward to the next drawing, it's our floor plan and roof plan, and you can see it's a fairly modest program for a house in Montecito. Yep, we're moving. So moving on to the elevations, and the massing, it was really important for us to keep the building at 1 story. We felt that was important for a number of reasons, for neighborhood compatibility, and protect the views from our neighbors, immediate neighbors, and privacy as much as we could. The owners plan to live in it in their later years, and would like the whole building to be accessible. And there's a savings in construction, so it's a win-win keeping it at 1 story. And we also use hips and 4 and 12 roof pitches to soften the massing and pull the building back away from the property lines. Let's see, on the left is the west elevation, number 1, drawing number 1. That illustrates what the garage would look like from the street. Drawing number 3 is a partial west elevation, and that drawing shows the entry. And also, the left-hand hip on the drawing number 3 is a 9'6" plate height. And what we have done with the massing is stepped the building back as it progresses away from the street with just a smaller increments of plate heights. So we started at 9'6" plate height on this left hip of drawing number 3. And as we progress back on the property line, and this is drawing number 2, the plate steps up approximately 8 to 9 inches over the primary suite, bedroom, and bathroom. And then it jumps up for the larger element, 12 feet for the dining and living room wing. Our highest ridge is 17 feet above existing grade. And let's see, if we can move on to the next sheet, that would be great. This is the drawing number 1 is the east elevation showing what the dining and living room with the trellis will look like, as well as how we shed the roof down on the south side toward the Huangs, the 514 Para Grande, and we end up with an 8'6" plate height at that location. You can also see the drawing below it. That's our south elevation. All of the bedrooms have very modest, small windows that open up to the south in the neighbor.
And Chuck, do you have a site, your plan here, please?
Lastly, and also we use dormers to provide some architectural detail to the roof and add in light and air into the plan. Materials, if we can go back to the plan sheet, David, the owners would like to go with integral plaster and 2-piece clay tile roof with, oh, sorry.
I think it's,
The plan sheet, there's I think it's a 2.0.
we're at concept. I'm not sure we need to get into everything there.
And I'm wrapping up, John. It's and so that the picture is just to give you a feeling of the color scheme and the overall material selection for the project. And lastly, I'd like to bring up to the board that we did reach out to all the neighbors, immediate neighbors, and we offered to share the project. We met with 4 of them. We met at different times. The neighbors to the north at 553 Hot Springs, we met with 3 separate times. And on the 3rd meeting, our last meeting, they conceded they had no objections to the project. So we were surprised to have received their letter of concerns. And I'd like to, if we could set aside a minute or 2 after the letter's read into comments, I'd like to respond to their points. And then the other letter was from the Huangs, and we've spoken to them since they have issued that letter yesterday. And we feel we're going to be able to work with them with landscaping to shield the exposure to the south to their property.
So Chuck,
Okay, so here's the landscape plan, just getting started. So you can see.
I don't think you're on, Chuck. There you go.
Okay, you can see that I'm getting started here. But if we could, and so everything's very internal to the site and really can't be seen. So I was going to take us back to the photos that show the front wall. Because really the only changes that the public's going to notice is we're going to get rid of the bougainvillea on the fence and rehabilitate the fence. And so the new fence will have ficus rep, and so it'll just be a green backdrop. That planter's 8.5 feet deep, and we'll put a fruitless olive on either side of the staircase. There's some damage to the wall on the left that will be straightened out. And then our palette out there is lavender, upright rosemary, and some iris, and just a really simple landscape. So all in keeping with the subdued aesthetic of Montecito. And that's really all I have.
Chuck, as proposed, that north property line looks like it has no perimeter.
Well, that's in most of that's existing to remain. There's a low rock wall with just about a 2-foot planter in it, and it's planted out right now. So I'm really not, I'm at concept. But there's just a little bit of there's a fence, and it has ficus repens, the creeping fig on it. So it appears to be a green hedge. There's a ton of plant material on the neighbor's side behind it to 20-some feet. And then it's the plantings that exist behind that stone wall to the fence are already there. Variety of things.
Okay, so questions, please. Let's start with Robert. Questions?
No questions.
Yep, questions?
You mentioned you got two letters from 2 neighbors. Can you,
We're going to read them.
yeah, but can you tell me which one, what neighbors are they? The south one or the west one? Just give us an
Directly
idea.
south, directly north.
Right, directly. 553 Hot Springs is directly to the north. And 514 Para Grande is directly to the south.
The one that has a carport.
Yes, yes.
And okay, can you go back to the site plan, please.
I found the landscape plan the easiest to read.
It's just a site plan, it's good. Next one, yeah. Next one.
One more. One more.
Yeah, can you zoom in a little bit more, David? So I have two questions. Question number one is what is the difference in elevation between the new garage and the existing carport of the lot to the south?
In elevation?
Yeah.
They're practically, our finished floor, proposed finished floor is 277. And if you go back to the survey, the garage, I believe is at 276.
So we're almost the same elevation?
Correct, yes.
Oh, because it seemed like the road is sloping up.
We're bringing down because there's a crown and we're bringing the finished floor down just a little bit.
So you're bringing the finished floor of this lot down from existing?
Right.
And is that why we had the 200 cubic yard of cut and fill?
Well, we haven't engaged our civil engineer for grading and drainage. And so we went in with a big number on that. And because we will be filling to the south of the building and to the east of the building.
So how much a cut of the existing house, the existing elevation down to the new elevation?
The existing to the new, it's at the garage at that existing.
No, like the whole house. It's a one level, right, I assume?
It's about 6 inches to a foot down on the north side, and then we fill about 2 feet on the south side. But again, the number, the quantities of the grading will probably be adjusted when we have civil.
So that means the finished floor for the new house is almost in line with the existing house, 6 inches?
Close, yes. It's in the ballpark, yeah.
And you think that the finished floor of the existing house or the new house is almost the same as the one on the south?
Finished floor of the
The big one, the big footprint nice.
Oh, at 514.
Yeah, whatever that address is, right?
Oh, okay. Well, no, because the grade slopes
That's what I thought.
right from the north to the south.
So how many feet different between the two parcels?
Between the two property lines, I would say it's about 2.5.
Oh, that's it.
2.5, 3 feet. Yeah, it's fairly flat. There's this rock wall that Chuck was mentioning on the north property line that brought the grade down a long time ago.
Mhm.
And so that basically tabletop the property. There's natural drainage.
Okay, well, my last question about you mentioning about the 8-inch encroachment. Can you zoom in a little, David, so I can see a little better where the encroachment?
Oh,
You're getting rid of, right?
yes, yes.
But can we see where it is right now?
Right, on the north side, or actually you can start with
South side.
the south side, that's fine. And so the shaded part of the,
Yeah, I
is that
see it.
clear? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Questions, Claire?
On the front, in the front, are you gonna keep all those bougainvilleas?
No,
Okay, thank you. So that's all gonna get replanted.
and so we don't want it to read so loud, and the fence is getting replaced, and we want to change gears into more of a Mediterranean. Well, I guess bougainvillea is Mediterranean, but no, not so colorful.
Okay.
Dave, questions?
For your project, you proposing existing and or new perimeter screening on your property?
We have a tremendous adjacent screen on the north side, on the neighbor's side. You can see the dash circles at the top. And our beds, well, currently we're in progress. So I believe the neighbor to the south would like us to add some, and we will. I don't know. But kind of our concept is Ficus repens is the creepy fig that hangs on by itself. And so because we have little space, we were going to do that on all of the exterior fences so that we get the sense of hedge without having a bunch of real estate eaten up by the thickness of the hedge.
Is that on the plans now or that's?
It's not quite on the plans now. It's on the front fence now on both sides, but it's not. And then there's some existing on the fences. But I wanted to not get too far before we had this first meeting and, so that if anything big moves, I won't have wasted time, but, that's the intention.
Then you mentioned 2.5 feet of fill at the south end of the property. Is there going to be a wall at the property line? Or
For right now, we need to work that out with civil, but I think it's going to, that finished floor might move a little bit,
those are my questions.
depending.
Bill, questions, please.
Yeah, did you, so are you required to have 3 spaces, 2 covered, 1 uncovered?
That's correct. Yes.
So that third space there, I don't know if you'd pull it forward or not, but have you talked with transportation in terms of being able to maneuver out of that parking, out of the garage and be able to turn and still get out? Have you worked that out?
We worked with our planner on that, and so the 2 covered spaces in the garage can pull out without the covered space having to move.
And you can still make your turn and get out
That's correct.
nose first instead of having to back out onto the street.
Right, that it's approximately 33, 34 feet from the base of the garage to the stone wall. And I believe that's kind of the magic number to pull out and turn.
Still make a radius.
Yep.
Okay, that was all. Thanks.
Robert, Rob.
Yes, thank you. So I'm still trying to get myself familiar with how the floods affected some parts of Montecito. Was this property kind of affected by the flood at all?
No, it was high and dry, yeah.
Okay, I thought that Power Grande and East Valley was
On
kind
the
of a
other
hot
side.
spot. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
See, so other question on the gates. So is there any issue with the setback on the gates, or because you're not having the 25 or 30 feet required setback? Are they automatic, I guess?
There are existing gates to be refurbished, so we're
So
just
that kind of exempt.
I guess we're just maintaining the gates.
So that doesn't kick you into that ordinance that you know of? Okay.
And if we have to move the gate inboard out of the right of way, then we're prepared to do that.
Okay. Let's see, and then, hey Chuck, what are the trees in the rear lawn that you're proposing?
Well, she's got a couple of Canary Island pine. These are things that have been planted, and so everything in the back, the dashed circles are existing. I think there's 3 oaks, Monterey cypress, and 2 Canary Island pines.
So is the lawn existing or is it proposed?
It's proposed. Mrs. Zukowski's a planting designer, and so I'm helping her with this project and the documentation and the working drawings. I don't believe the way it's drawn now, we can get through Wheelo, so there's going to be some shrinkage.
Yeah, you might have some trouble with the some of those oaks and things and having lawn around it too. So
Yeah,
those are my questions.
point.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Claire, please.
Has the fire department seen this plan yet?
They have, right,
With it?
they're fine with it, and they plan to run their hoses from the street around to the back.
And I have no questions, but we do have 2 comment letters, please. And they were specific enough that I thought I'd read both of them. Okay. We're able to review, okay, which one there, bro? This one. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. We're the owners of 553, so that's directly to the north. Okay. While we appreciate that the proposed structure is a single story, we nonetheless have a general concern about the building size relative to the lot and the minimal side setbacks. Even taking into consideration that the lot is small, the proposal does not feel consistent with the semi-rural Montecito and the neighboring properties. In addition, we have these more specific concerns. Privacy. David? No, there was more to that letter. Okay, privacy. Whereas the existing house is positioned to allow reasonable privacy and screening between the properties, The proposed structure runs along the property line. Remember, they're on the north, directly opposite our backyard pool and dining area. The applicant's side yard abuts our rear yard, which makes us question whether or not the regulation rear yard setback might be a more applicable guideline. Especially problematic are the large side windows that would look directly into our pool, kitchen, and yard. It would be much better for us if these windows were removed from the plans so as not to impact privacy on both sides of the property line. The proposed property setbacks allows no space for the applicant to plant screening, relying on our fence and hedging to do the job. Height. The proposed structure would be both higher than the existing and closer to the property line. We request that the story poles be erected prior to MBIR approval so that we and the others nearby property owners can understand the privacy impacts to the incremental height. Oak health. The drip line of several oak trees on our side of the property line may be impacted by the broadness of the proposed structure. We have shared our concerns with the applicant, who says they're engaged in arborists, but we have not received any further information. Thank you. Okay, and the other letter, please. We were able to review the plans. One of the unique values of living in our neighborhood is privacy. In the proposed plan, the house appears to extend to the minimum allowable setbacks on the north and south sides of the property. In one instance, we noticed that even less than 5-foot setback on the south property line. Given that our home was positioned very close to our northern property line, adjacent to 520 Par Grande, well before we became owners, we were quite familiar with the drawbacks of a tight setback. We feel that a reasonable setback on each lot preserves friendly neighbor relations. One specific solution is for our neighbors of 520. Par Grande would factor in growing and maintaining their own hedge along the south property line. This would help maintain privacy. While we recognize it may not be possible, it would be prudent to attempt to have less tight proximity to the neighbors. We look forward to being friendly neighbors and have a fruitful relationship with the Zukowskis. Is that how you say their names? Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on 520 Par Grande Lane, please? Nobody? Okay, I'll close public comment.
May I take a minute?
1 minute, you're on. 1 minute.
Okay.
Go.
And for 553 Hot Springs, there were 3 concerns that were specifically brought up. Privacy and let's see. So the north wall, this stone wall that's 2 feet high, there's a 6-foot high wood fence on top of that. Our windows are at 8 feet on the primary suite. So the top of the fence basically aligns with the top of the windows on our north elevation. In the dining room, the dining room has windows that are 9 feet, but that's just 1 foot above that fence. I have got a drawing that I could redline. I don't know how that works in this day and age with sharing some things that are sketched out, but I don't know if I have time to do that, show that to you. We understand if story poles are an option that you want to see. We were personally hoping no, because of the effort that we put into the 1 story, considering we could have gone up to 35 feet and we're at 17 feet. We were hoping not to have to undergo that expense.
That's
And lastly, the oak,
Will.
and we just received our arborist report from Duke McPherson.
So we'll look at that next time. Okay, thank you. Okay, back to the board for comments. Obviously, we're on here for the first time. Obviously, this is a concept plan, which is where we are supposed to be. So we've heard from the neighbors, we've heard from the applicant. Robert, comments, please.
I do appreciate the Spanish, Santa Barbara Montecito style architecture. One thing, there's some unresolved, I think, window locations, like the perception, especially on the south where you've got 8 windows, I think might be throwing the neighbor off. I don't know why you need those 3 in the garage.
Yeah.
Facing south. For instance, and I'm a bit confused by the shed roofs, but I reserve judgment. I think they're fine, and in general, the house seems a bit tall, but maybe only a foot to me, if any. And the setback to setback, I have a hard time criticizing too much since you've only got about a 10,000 square foot lot. It's kind of comes with the territory. And, in general, I think it's a pretty good job. That's it.
Comments, Tip?
David, can you put the site plan back again? Yeah, the proposed site plan. Next one. Yeah, zoom in a little bit, yeah. Yeah, so I kind of concur with comments from Robert, and I would like to see when you come back the next time, if we can have a site section through the house from north to south, cut right through your house and to the property line down to the property right below, which is that 514 Para Grande?
2 or 3.
Huh?
2 or 3 site sections.
Yeah, that might be a one through the garage, one through the bathroom, and perhaps one through the living room, because I'm still a little not sure about the elevation between the 2 properties. It seemed like it's a little more from the street, but maybe, as you said, it's only 2 feet. And that way we can see exactly how the screening and everything looks, and it'll be helpful. So that's comment number 1. Comment number 2 is that I think that if you can bring the gate back just a little more, so when you turn to the gate, you don't have to, stick down the street. That'll be a helpful for traffic on Palo Grande. It's a small street. And I assume the driveway, is it fairly flat?
The throat of the driveway, there is a steep portion that we're gonna need to grade and feather.
But the house is only like a couple feet off the street. Yeah, you have plenty of slope to make it flat coming in. And I guess one more question is a comment that I'm not sure why you have so much grading and fill. Grading and cut 200 cubic yards quite a bit for a small site like this, especially if the house is flat and the site's flat and you're not really dig the pool and things like that. So when you have a server on board, relook at that numbers and see, maybe it will be more than what you need to. But overall, about the comments from the neighbors from the north, that is 5. The map is say
553.
553. When I look at the Google map, that house is pretty far away from 520 Para Grande.
Yeah, it's really far.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's the issue with the privacy here. I think if you have a nice hedge and that is a master bedroom, you should have some decent sized bedrooms. You cannot tell people not putting tiny little windows because it's shining light into someone else that 40, 50 feet, 60 feet away. So I don't have a problem with the windows facing the north. And since, those pretty much some of them, the only windows in the master bedroom, I think that should work for your clients instead of make it too small. That's my opinion. The one on the south, I believe I agree with Robert, maybe the garage, it could be, even though the garage, you could eliminate the three windows or bring it down to two, but personally, those are small windows, so I'm not too concerned about that. And the bedrooms, if you bring it back and not encroaching into a setbacks, I think that probably be fine. But probably put more windows facing the east, which is the back bedroom, but the one on the west, that pretty much the only windows you have for that bedroom, because the garage is next to it. So that, I mean, it is what it is. So I think the project is modest in scale, it's 0.97 FAR. It's a tight lot. And, I definitely can support it. If you come back with proper screening and show us how you address within the neighbors, I think that probably be a successful project. And I definitely don't think we need story pole for this.
Comments, Claire, please.
Okay. I think I just
Yeah,
turned.
you're on.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I just turned me on. So for me, I would just like, and it's mostly about the landscape and especially the driveway and the amount of paving that's being created by all that paving. And so I would like, and most likely Chuck, to actually re-look at all of the paving and all the way up to the edges of the houses. I mean, that's a lot of paving. And I think that, because I know Chuck's, I mean, you guys can kind of change that driveway configuration so it's not this massive amount of blacktop or whatever the driveway is going to be, and make it a little bit more romantic in the coming into the property rather than just this long driveway and then this whole parking area, For me, I think I love the house. I think the house is really adorable, by the way. I really do. I mean, I really, and it's appropriate to that Para Grande, that particular part of Para Grande, and the neighbor, interesting, is in a whole different area zone, I mean, that's a big lot, so for them to complain about what you're doing, really don't pay attention, because I think what you're doing is what needs to happen. And I also, the reason I brought up the fire department is because I think the gate needs to be moved further in, and then that kind of makes more landscaping on the street with the gate further in, and it gives sort of, once again, a romantic idea of this little house in this little place, So those are my comments.
Dave, comments, please.
Yeah, I like the project. I like the architectural style. I appreciate that it's single story. I think if you went 2 stories, you could pull away from the setbacks, but it would likely have more impact on the neighbors and the community because it'd be more visible. That being said, because you're proposing to go property line to property line, I can't support it unless you provide screening on your property. So I would like Tip's recommendation for site sections, and with those site sections, if you can demonstrate the screening relative to the neighbors, height of it, and if it's a fence with fig or whatever it is on it. Demonstrate the grading, justify the amounts of grading and what you're doing, and resolve the south side, because if you have to have a retaining wall, that's also eating into your setback area where you can plant. I appreciate that you're moving the walls out of the setbacks, so you're not proposing to encroach now. But I would ask you to maintain the thicker walls, because I think part of the architectural character is the recesses and the windows, so don't lose those when you do that.
Quick comment.
So-
May I jump in on that real quick?
No,
So, and I don't think story poles are necessary on this project. I think it's very reasonable. It's really more important to demonstrate the screening and the privacy that you're providing. So those are my comments.
Bill, please, comments.
Yeah, I agree with Dave's comments. I think most of what he said. I think, site section, landscaping, north, south. Maybe Chuck on the driveway there too, maybe in the area that looks like it's gravel. You could do a little curb and low plantings, spine up, climb, something there, just to help kind of give a little more green space in that parking area. I like the architecture. I think it looks good. I appreciate the single story and you shoving it out of the setbacks. That's one of the things I would have requested, I think, on this property. I would also just make sure you can get that turn. Get your template out, and make sure you can get that to work, because that's going to be a tricky one.
From which one? Guest parking or main?
From the main. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Really both, all of them. Just make sure you can get out the right way. No story poles. I don't think those are necessary. And that's it. Thank you.
Rob, comments, please.
I agree with the rest of the board's comments. I think the house is lovely. So I have no problem as well with what you're doing as far as the one story and extending it. I mean, the comments everybody made are pretty spot on. One little thing on the driveway, Chuck, is maybe, and when you're looking at kind of playing with it, and I think you can grab some more landscape out of there, but possibly that front walkway, you could have that paving material kind of carry across and connect to the front door, and then because it's kind of at one end, and I think that would be really successful if you did that, and then you could kind of go back to the chip seal on the rest of the motor court stuff. But I think it's a really nice project, and so I very much support it.
I also agree that perimeter landscaping is the solution. But as I understand the landscape fire zones, Chuck, 5-foot net clear between any landscaping in the building, right? So
Typically,
so let's say let's just pick a hedge and say it's 3 feet plus 5 feet is 8 feet off the property line. So that's, if my numbers are correct, and there may be some slight variations to that, I think this building's going to need to get narrower. As soon as it does get narrower, nobody likes change, including neighbors. And so, but if we can get it there, your own perimeter landscaping, I think that that's going to take care of all of my concerns. So please take a hard look at that. I, for one, Chuck, I love that bougainvillea.
oh, no.
Now, I don't own the
I
property.
knew it was coming because he sent a picture of it 2 days ago.
No, actually, it was
A different picture.
a different picture of a piece of bougainvillea, but I mean, if that's not old world Montecito, I don't know what
Well,
is.
sure.
Yeah, take a good hard look at that.
Okay.
So, and you know something?
I think the owner might like it too.
Right.
I think it's me.
Yeah. I don't believe that guest parking space. I don't think you can get in that. Now, maybe if you've got a 20-point turn, think Austin Powers, that little thing, and yeah, I don't think you can get in there and get out of there. Now, maybe the planner doesn't know enough to be able to assess that, but I do. And so I would like that to be an actual usable space. And you can't park in the required front yard setback, but
Side yard.
so I think there's some work there. Now, we had a project on Middle Road where it changed the entire project for them to come on in and get that done. So please solve that so that it actually does work. And if you get the perimeter landscaping on your property, and Chuck, this is not landscaping that's attached to a 6-foot high hedge, wall. Because the perimeter landscaping in Montecito is typically 8, maybe 10 feet. And that, you can only go to 6 with the hard,
Fencing.
yeah. So anyway,
Okay.
And so these comments that I've just made will have an important reconsideration of this project. So anyway, that's all that I have. Thank you. I don't think we need story poles. So, we almost never do them. I think we've done them once in the 8 years I've been on the board. So for a single story building. So have a nice holiday. We'll see you next year sometime. But
I'm sorry, what level review did you want this to come?
what do you guys think? Preliminary next time? Preliminary final, but you guys are gonna have to demonstrate it to some of us that you've actually got the side yards worked out. And then at that point, you should just be able to, my guess is the board would just say, let's rock and roll on this one.
Might be sick.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think preliminary, well, I'm not here, so.
They got all the right pieces. It's just getting them all together.
Restoration Hardware was here today for final. They're coming back again. I mean, we do not just roll over when it's agendized for something.
We have some work to do with civil, traffic, parking and the landscape.
Okay.
We've got some work to do here. So we're not looking to come back middle of January, probably beginning of February, middle of.
Okay.
February. Maybe preliminary final could work if we have.
What?
So did we settle, is it preliminary final or preliminary?
Preliminary final, they probably won't make it all the way, but let's give them a shot.
And just because of the lesson we learned for Restoration Hardware, full board, right?
In this case, absolutely.
On the record to be very clear.
Okay, so we're on item number 4. We have been taking a 5-minute leg stretching. We're going to do that after item number 4. So Sam, it's going to take a little bit longer to get to you. Yeah. Okay, just trying to, coffee. So item number 4, 124 Pomar.
Well, you're gonna do that afterwards. Is that what you said?
Yeah, 5 minutes after Mr. Newman's. Okay, item number 4, 124
Oh, this is why you're here.
yeah, Pomar Lane.
Your name on there.
Hi,
So is Britt with us or just you today?
I'm here. I'm on remotely. I'm not feeling that great today.
Thank you for coming. I'm sure we all extend our hope that you get better. So Britt, are you going to be doing the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. Should I start?
Yes, please.
All right. This is a very modest scope consisting of an addition of 37 square feet. The addition does not increase the floor area ratio of the parcel. Basically, we're filling in the notch corners of the kitchen, removing some utility spaces that were there, and setting new windows to connect the updated kitchen to a landscape outdoor amenity. We're also replacing aging windows throughout the house with new energy efficient windows. It's a like-for-like update. No appreciable change to the elevation character will be as a result of the window changes. And we're also looking to replace existing appliances with energy efficient all electrical appliances that connect to the existing solar panels and a battery wall that they have. So we can go to the next sheet, which is a neighborhood compatibility study. So you can see that the neighborhood is a high FAR neighborhood. Again, we are not increasing the floor area ratio of this property with the 37 square foot addition. And you can also see that in photos 1, 2, and 3 in the upper right corner of the photo legend there, that the house is nicely screened from the street and a very modest scale. So let's go to the next page. This is locates the area of the addition with respect to the parcel. As you can see, it's somewhat centered in the middle of the parcel. The addition is like for like use. There's no new use in the zone that we're proposing. And the site section at the bottom of the page shows that we're well under the height limit. So we're matching the ridge of the existing residence with the new addition. The current kitchen has a 7/6 plate. So we're just kind of raising it a little bit to get better proportion to the windows, which you'll see in a little bit. So let's go to the next page. Yeah, so these are the materials in the windows. Everything is just going to blend seamlessly with the existing house. We'll go to sheet, A3, or yeah. Okay, oh, we're going pretty fast. Where are we? I'm sorry. You can go back.
I
Oh,
think that it was actually appropriate. Has anybody else reviewed this besides me? Claire, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, David.
yeah, okay, right there. So there, this is the demo page. We can go to the next one. It'll show you the elevations. So you can see the existing west elevation. That's there's very little change other than we're just swapping out new windows. And then you can see down on the east elevation, the changes that we're proposing to the kitchen we're in. We're developing a bank of windows that take advantage of the views into this developed landscape amenity in the rear yard. So, and we can go to the next page. Here's the addition showing existing and proposed. Obviously, the bigger part of the project is developing the windows that face the east, and you see that in the east elevation. Go to the next page. These are sections through the building. Again, we're matching the ridge of our addition to the ridge of the main house, so no appreciable change in scale will happen or massing to the building. The next page. This is the floor plan showing the window schedule and the new windows, volumes and things. And then we can go to the next page. Here we have our window schedule for the whole house, showing the like for like replacement of doors and windows. And then we'll go one more page. These are building details. You know, we're just rolling in the plaster on the inside and the outside, and matching the roof tile and construction type of eaves and gutters and downspouts to the main existing residence. One more sheet. I think these are just some 3D views of what we're proposing. And it's a pretty simple project, like I said.
Are you done there, Britt?
Yes, thank you.
Questions, Claire?
No questions.
Bill?
Yeah, Britt, are you, I saw your detail for the rake there. Not that they're there, but maybe we could be. You showed different on your elevation. You got like little rafter tails and outlookers there. Is that what you're doing, or are you gonna keep it tight to the face?
No, we want to do an eave because we have some staining based on rain, and there's a lot of birds that are living in the backyard, and so we're getting shade and we're keeping the building clean by introducing some overhang on this particular part of the building. And
those little beam, those beam tails will stick out then like that?
Yeah.
Is that on the rest of the house or not? Is this kind of a...
No, this is unique to the back. The house has, you know, been built over time. It started in the 20s. It's had some recent additions, and I think there's a number of styles to it. And I feel that what we're doing is practical and fits, you know, in something that's evolved over time.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Robert?
No questions.
Bob?
I don't have any questions at this time.
Is it the same FAR as before?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
It's not, but it's minusculely larger.
What is the current FAR?
119.
Thank you.
Dave, questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 124 Pomar Lane, please?
No requests.
Okay, comments. We are on for concept only. Claire, comments?
No comment.
Bill?
Oh, I can make a motion.
No, not with,
Not yet.
not with
You can't do that
concept.
yet.
Oh, concept.
Yeah.
Oh, right. No motion. My comment would be have them come back for final on consent.
What about preliminary final on consent?
Preliminary final
Yeah,
on consent's a better
So
idea.
you're done with it.
I'm done with it.
Robert, comments?
No comments. Come back for prelim final.
The only comment I have is, Britt, you have such a good hand at drawing.
Yeah.
The only part that I'm finding missing at this conceptual level is like the previous project. It was a hand drawing. It really helped me. It really sold the project. And you, if anybody, could add that little, hand touch that I think would really help, bring this all together a lot more effectively, but.
Should we come back for that?
No, but you don't need to come back for that, so.
Thank you.
Comment.
Comments, Tim?
No comment.
Comments, Dave?
I think it's a nice project. Come back, final on consent, preliminary final on consent.
I have, I guess, two comments. One, I did look at the FAR. It's kind of one of those right on the margin about whether or not this is okay or not. This neighborhood does have some larger homes. It also has some much smaller homes. As we all know, it was one of the earlier neighborhoods in Montecito, and some of them have upgraded. This has an ADU. It was properly accounted for on the drawing, on the calculation, so that's going to kick it up. But, my assessment was when I looked at it, it's going to be okay. And then the second comment, Britt, I brought this book in for you to look at with beautiful hand drawings. And so you don't get to look at it today, and I'm very sorry about it. Okay, so preliminary final on consent, everybody, is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. And also,
Charles, it was great
Mayor,
talking
congratulations.
to you today. We are going to take a 5-minute break to stretch our legs.
Thank you.
So last two people on the way. Okay.
of the driveway on the north, and it takes the water under the driveway and under the putting green. And all we'll be doing will be is resizing that and extending that. So that's why the grading numbers are balancing on site. They are cut and fill to kind of terrace the property, if you will, behind the retaining walls. And the cut will afford the right fencing to contain the ball court and the tennis balls on the inside. We wanted to retain the beautiful kind of configuration of the main house to the bocce court and the trellis that's on the south side of that lawn. So when you look out from the main house, we're really not intending to change any of the aesthetics. Through that little notch in LA, you see the islands, and it's quite a substantial ocean view. We're not going to interrupt that. This court and this whole recreation facility sits to the west of that and really will be hidden by additional mitigation trees that are planted in those planters in the green areas around the court. Additionally, we found that Veronica, the planner, had identified the trellis that's at the far end of the bocce court was not permitted. Apparently, Robert discussed that it was permitted or was designed as part of the project, but it was never built. So as it got built, we found that it did not have a permit there. So we're legitimizing that trellis. And there's some drawings that show it, some photographs that show it in this submittal as well. So Veronica wanted us to include that. It's kind of an arching form at the bottom south end of the bocce court. We can go through the drawings to show you the sections and to show you that we've done some good work with Mark Braun. He's already looked at the civil, resized the piping. He's given us the right cut and fill, and he'll be helping us with the post-tension tennis court slab and also the retaining wall structure. So you see the long view, the pipe is going underneath. And then in the center, the pipe is kind of shown right in the middle of the cut. That's the narrow side. We do have a little sitting area on the east side towards the guest house that someone can come down and sit and watch the. Sorry. What do you want me to, can I point? Sorry. Oh, that was in the middle of the drawing. Okay. Oh, I can point. Okay. Yeah, there you see the actual pipe that's coming from on the uphill side, north side of the driveway. It's going underneath. It does now. We're just going to extend it out to the bottom of this wall. And then there's a beautiful little dry creek that flows through the property and exits at the far south end of Paul's property and goes down into the creek of the rest of Power Grande. So these are the sections. You see that the planter area is terraced on the south side, and also there's a terraced area, or a little green area here. We need to do this because the slab is going to be post-tension, and we need to put the tension on the actual concrete, so we need 4 feet for those cables to be stretched and pulled. So it really tucks in nice. I mean, the intent was to cut and fill, so you really didn't see any disturbance in the landform. The lawn above kind of sweeps around from the north and around onto the west, or excuse me, the east. So the aesthetic and the appeal and the beauty of the yard now is really not going to be changed. You'll just have a well-designed, substantial 6x6 posts, 2x8 caps, real nice old world tennis court aesthetic. We'll keep it low in the center so you can look into the middle, and someone up on the lawn or the guest house could maybe get a peek of the actual tennis match going on. I want to go to the next drawing. I think that's the majority of what we needed to present today. So we're ready to roll with this. This shows, excuse me, just to kind of summarize that trellis, it sits right here. It has a curving laminated beam on both sides. It's very handsome. It has stone columns with lolly columns and steel on the inside, so it really looks substantial and ties in beautifully to the Spanish style of Robert Sen's architecture. So that exists now just as a shade structure and kind of a central focal point off of the symmetry of this lawn and garden to the house. The tennis court sits in this low valley area here. You see the drainage right here. That's not being interrupted. It's just being let's say, expanded to correctly take care of the water. Paul has said in certain rainstorms that the water does build up and go over the top of the driveway as kind of a summer crossing. We're going to see if we can eliminate that with correcting the size of the culvert as it goes underneath this new desired proposed recreational tennis court. I think that's kind of all that I like to present to everybody. And if there's any questions, there's pictures to get you familiar with
You
it.
done there, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Questions, Rob,
I don't have any questions.
Claire?
Yeah. No questions.
Bill?
Had you looked at, can we go back to this site plan there, or the sections, those sections? Have you looked at the idea of doing on the south side of that a terraced wall on your AL5 there? Because you got a 10-foot wall there. You
Well,
have a
it
terrace of some sort?
yeah, we looked at that. There's actually the sides of that little canyon come in, Bill, so it's really only 10 foot right in the middle.
Ah,
So the actual grade comes piling up and then gets up high and daylight's about a third of the way up the court. So it's really only 10 in that bottom worst case.
have an elevator.
But we did look at terracing it just for minimizing and planting. But there's a beautiful little bridge at the base. If you look to the far left of that upper section, there's a little bridge that crosses the creek right now. It goes up to a nice little, let's say, troll dollhouse. I didn't want to disturb that. And I think that is an aesthetic that the lower canyon has that I'd like to continue to keep. I think we can easily screen this and make that wall on the sides with the dirt as well as in the middle of the valley go away and feel a part of the canyon.
Did you have any photos of that part of the site from the street looking back up? Is there any photos in there?
There's no way you can see it from the street,
Really? Yeah.
but
it's
I
also
do have some photos that I brought here. And David, are there any photos that were
photos on there,
included?
'cause I remember.
There's no photos on these plans. There were photos submitted to Veronica.
Well, it must be in a separate folder because I did see photos. I was just curious, as you said, you couldn't see it from the,
You can't see it from the street. I'd be happy to kind of show you some pictures you could pass around if that's doable.
yeah, that'd be great. And so you're removing some oaks, right, Sam? And
Removing a couple oaks, yes.
yeah, and then how many are mitigating for those?
We're bringing in 4 new ones.
Or new ones? Okay.
This is the house.
I think those, David, I think those are in one of the folders I remember seeing.
Should be in there. I brought these just in case. I don't want to inundate you with too many photos.
Yeah, there they are. Yeah, here they are.
Okay,
that's-
so you see that, that's the little bridge.
Little creek and the,
That's the little kind of grove that we are retaining. There are olive trees we're taking away in the middle. But those 3 oaks that are to the center and left of the bridge, we want to retain. And so that wall comes up vertically to help retain and keep that little valley section intact. But then from that point, the bridge north is where the activity of the
highest.
court, yeah.
so it's
Court go that way.
10,
Court comes this way uphill.
Was that oak tree, right? Sorry, Bill, is that
The
oak?
the big one that's right there goes, yeah, that has to go.
10 feet in the valley and then it comes up to maybe 3 or something. Retained.
Comes up to 3 and then it daylights and then it goes into an underground.
Yeah,
On
okay.
the top side.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sam.
Dave, please. Questions?
Yeah, is any of this going to be visible to the neighbors of the community as far as the retaining walls, the fence for the tennis court, all that? Is it?
It's really in a canyon. It's below the grade of Para Grande and Riven Rock. So there's a perimeter wall, Dave, that's 5 to 6 feet high on the actual property line. And then it comes in and then it drops into this canyon. So you really won't see it from any street whatsoever. You can't see it from the driveway until you get into the house proper in the backyard is the only time you'll be able to see this.
And I assume there's no lighting associated with the court.
There's no lighting.
Thanks.
Yep, questions?
Can you go back to the site sections, please? Yeah, Sam, can you, I try to understand your section B. Where is, Riven Rock?
On the left.
So Riven Rock is on the left tip, and it comes up. There's two big oak trees that we're saving on the plan that you can
You
see in
mean on the
the
left of the page?
left of the page. To the right of the page is our little sitting area that's adjacent to the lawn that's running from the house to
And,
the trellis.
from that to Riven Rock, how far is it to Riven Rock? Pretty far,
50 feet.
or 50 feet way in,
It's way back.
and Riven Rock is higher,
Riven Rock is higher.
sloping down.
It goes higher as it passes the north side of the site, but on the south side of the site, it's lower. But in the area of the court, it's at the same level or below Riven Rock.
And the upper section, the house is to the left, right?
In that,
House to the right.
the house is straight behind it, straight going back up the
I
hill.
mean, the upper section, I'm sorry.
Can you go to the upper section, the long section? Would you look at the plan, you'll see. So
Okay,
the court tucks itself down. See the existing stairs to the left of the pool? Those come down, and then the court is down another 8 feet down in the ground. And then the house is kind of to the northeast of the court. And it's all behind the existing ficus hedge on the driveway and the existing olives that line the driveway.
and what kind of fencing materials are you proposing?
It'll be a tight chain link, and it'll also be a heavy brown colored stained timber frame for the fence to hang on. So it'll be not a galvanized pole or a black pole. It'll be a nice wood fence.
Will be 8 feet.
Yes. 8 feet on the ends, but down to 4 feet in the center where you walk in, and the ball gets out of the middle of the court, we can go catch it. But
When I look at the Google map, seems like there's another tennis court just across the driveway, the street,
I didn't count them up, but there's tennis courts in the neighborhood and a number of other
just
parcels.
directly opposite of this one,
The other one is Harry and Megan's house, and they have one across the street.
Riven Rock Tennis Court. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
One quick question. So was that, did you look at other places on the property for siting the court?
We did, and you can see, Rob, that the lower part of the property is completely covered with oaks. And the only other place would be right between the bocce court and the trellis and the house. And we weren't going to put it there. Just there's too much, seriously symmetrical beauty there. And there's really no place on the east side because there's a guest house and connections to guest house.
Or south, don't you?
And really to go kind of counter to that is improper for tennis court design. So the north-south orientation is correct here. It's really a puzzle, but it's tightly squeezed in there.
Never seen that many tennis courts in that whole neighborhood.
No.
Well, but you can't see them at all the other neighbors because they're so well screened.
Tip wants you to make some friends.
The satellite version.
Well, everybody's gotta have their own
Can I see Richfield?
tennis court.
Go make some.
This is for a burgeoning tennis pro that, is Paul's daughter, and she needs to practice at home. She doesn't want to have to drive.
We're in questions. So Tip, are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, I want to go back to that concept of turning the court. It seems to me that there's a significant amount of lawn, think water. And we've got a beautiful wooded area that's going to be lost forever.
No, it's
Yeah.
preserved, but
And I'm just wondering if you've looked at a way to turn it 90 degrees, bury it the way you have, and create a flatter area between the pool and then what would become the northern edge of the tennis court, so that you kind of get rid of it visually from the house, but it then requires significantly less grading, which is what we're required to do in our guidelines. Have you looked at that, and why haven't, could you look at that would be the question.
we thought about that, but we didn't want to interrupt the connection from the view from the house to the ocean and to the aesthetic of the alignment of
But
the
it's going to be
trellis.
buried down. So you're gonna look.
But
right
you're gonna
over
look,
the top.
you're gonna look down at the property and down at the ocean, maybe out the horizon, but you're gonna look right at a big piece of paving and court in your front view of your main view to the south.
Okay.
So I think it's more grading when you were to cut that long a length, 114 feet along that whole section. So it just seemed to
But you're
interrupt. the
parallel,
design.
you would be parallel to the contour, not lines, not perpendicular.
Yeah, but to Rob's point, a tennis court should be designed north-south. So
Okay.
to put it east-west is counter to good playability. It affects the players in the morning and the afternoon in a real negative way.
Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 5, 750 Riven Rock Road, please? Aha. Please identify yourself for the tape.
And I will just beg the chair's indulgence because my comments are mostly not focused on this project per se. Though it's good, I will tell the Montecito Journal that Tip is about to lead a campaign against tennis court density in the community. No, I am here just because we have all of you put a great amount of time into this work. And a lot of uncompensated time, a lot of spirit, a lot of thought. And I appreciate it from all of you. But I especially appreciate it when someone has done it for so long with so much dedication, so much thoughtfulness and love of her community. I think this community owes her a great debt. And we're not about to forget you, Claire. Maybe there is another way that we can interact with you that where architects don't ever bear the brunt of your sharp wit and concern. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the county. Thank you on behalf of the community of Montecito.
And he's staying. Unbelievable.
No, he wants it approved.
Okay, so I will close public comment. Back to the board for comments. We are on for concept. Rob.
So John, from a pure, design grading standpoint, you're absolutely correct. That would have, turning at 90 degrees, all that would have made sense. But what is stopping that, and having played a lot of tennis in years prior, I mean, the design of a court has to run north-south. I mean, that's like standard, particularly if somebody's playing at a high level. The sun and the different ways the sun comes in would completely throw somebody off. So I think you're right, but I think this is one case where it's kind of the tennis court standards dictate north-south, so.
So you are in favor of it. Claire, please, comments.
I think it's unfortunate that you have decided to put a large tennis court in the middle or on this piece of property. That's just a personal comment to me, because I think this is a beautiful piece of property. And then seeing these, that this facility, this tennis court, in my way, really spoils this piece of property, and, that I understand with your daughter and all of that, but for me, we on this board have gone through tennis court after tennis court after tennis court. We would rather not even have tennis courts in Montecito, at least architecturally, you know. So, but those are my personal things, is that, you know, I mean, here it is. Oh, I know, there was one question that I had early on that I didn't ask, is that, Sam can answer this question. Sam, is this a full-sized tennis court?
I should have mentioned that, Claire, because of the constricted site area and wanting to have it in the correct orientation and wanting to have it as subtle and as well-designed in this site as possible, we reduced the length and we reduced the width. So a standard court is 120 feet long. This is 114 feet long, so it's 6 feet less in length, and we've made it 5 feet less in width. Standard is 60 and this is 55. So we pinched it in. Paul knows that. Paul's understanding that. I mean, this is a personal private court. It's not a regulation court. It's not like a tournament court. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to have, you know, recreation and his family, health and fitness and all the development of his daughter and family. So it is less size than normal. So know that we did take that into account to minimize and to try to not push it further into this beautiful environment, which Paul appreciates, anyone who goes on site appreciates. We're not taking away from that. It's still, the charm is still there.
Got it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and that comes from the past where we at this board have actually,
We pinched it in to that
we
account.
pinched them in.
Got to
a
mention
number of times to
And-
ask for clients to,
And
so other than that, that's I really don't have any problem with it. I mean, you know, I'll go ahead and vote for it, but I just find it unfortunate.
Bill, comments, please?
Yeah, you know, I think I'm similar to Claire's thoughts, certainly about tennis courts and how much room they take on a site, beautiful as this. It's too bad your daughter isn't a professional pickleball player. Half that size.
Yeah.
There
You
may
have
be
to have
some
a lot,
future for her.
be a lot older for that.
Exactly. That's right. That being said, I think, Sam, you've done as best you could for the site in terms of keeping it screened. I think it's more of an internal thing. I think that my concern is what it looks like from inside looking at it. And I agree. I think maintaining that nice landscaping between the bocce court and the pool area is kind of essential. You don't want to be looking over this hole in the ground there necessarily. So I think I appreciate its orientation as well for its function. I think you've landscaped it well. I think you've set it in this valley to kind of diminish it. You've sunken it down as far as you can. It's not going to be seen from the outside. So in terms of the impact on the neighborhood, I can support it. Thank you.
Dave, comments?
You're planning to balance the grading on site for it?
Correct.
Well, I have the same feelings. I think the site's beautiful and the tennis court on this size and configuration a lot is going to have impact. But I also am a tennis player and I have kids, so I understand where you're coming from. And I think given the constraints of the site and the challenges that you have of fitting it in, that this site planning does make sense. And because it isn't visible to the street or the neighbors, it really is impacting the owner for the most part. I think you're mitigating for the trees, so you're being sensitive to that aspect of it. And it has a nice landscape planning. You're doing everything you can to integrate it into the site. So for those reasons, I can support this project.
Chip, comments, please? We're on for concept.
You need to educate me a little bit. So what happened when you have a smaller court? That means it's easier to play or what?
Well, it just means that if the ball is over your head, you're going to chase it 3/4 speed. You're going to slow down when you're running for that ball that's running over your head. You don't go full speed or you'll, it's, you know,
So it's actually,
6 feet, it's 3 feet on each end smaller. So 3 feet is not much, but it certainly helps in the sight, you know.
yeah, I understand that. But my point is that when you play at this tennis court and then you go to the real court, you realize that just like when you're swimming, oops, a little longer.
There's just more space on the edges. It has nothing to do with the painted
the-
lines are the same.
Oh,
as
the pinning line's the same.
Painted lines are the same. It's the outside area
Outside.
of, let's say, the extra area that you would chase a ball. If you're overrunning something and you go beyond the lines, you have space to slow down. This has just a little less space to slow down before you would hit the fence.
And I've been looking at the Google map and I mean, I see that you're really pushing it toward the pool and the driveway. And I can see that you're trying to get out of the Oak Grove based on what I've seen here.
It's as far north as we really felt
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
right.
And
Wise, yeah.
yep, and I mean, I think, I definitely believe that from the public point of view, probably nobody can see it because of the way it is. But as Claire mentioned, and I think it's unfortunate that you can put because it's a beautiful property with a beautiful lawn, and then you have a whole, literally about a couple, 10 feet away from the swimming pool. That's where the tennis court. So it's, it's not really a public view issue for me. It's the need of the owners to do something, and I wish I have a better location for that, but it is what it is. Thank you.
I find it unfortunate that we have very tall retaining walls on both sides. And even though the intent of those retaining wall regulations when they were written were public views of those, and I am very aware of that, and I understand your comments about it's lower and you won't see it. I probably will vote no on this unless I get a site visit, which I haven't heard anyone else particularly express an interest in doing. It looks to me like that Oak Grove and that area of the site is really quite remarkable, and I hate to give it away. I can't believe there isn't another solution here. You have very large section of lawn, and I'm not trying to destroy the lawn, but high water use, et cetera. And if you were able to find a way to get it so that we reduce some of that lawn and retained the oak or whatever you want to call that, the undeveloped area, then I think it would be, for me, a lot easier to approve. So I hear support on the board, but I don't think I'm going to be one of the people that votes for it.
So one thing I do see, in the expense of the walls and the engineering to do that court, it looks like one thing to explore is actually moving that court up to the west part of the house and reconfiguring the driveway a little bit. And seems like you could squeeze that tennis court along the west side of the house a little more, get it out of the Oak Grove a little bit, and the cost of the engineering and all that to do that court, it moving it up there and relocating the driveway a little bit might balance and do you see that as a possibility?
Are people willing?
Comment on that?
One second. Are people willing to accept the photographs and things, or do we need a site visit? Am I the only one that needs a site visit, please? If I'm the only one,
When I see the Google map here, I do see your point to, for example, can the tennis court run parallel with the pergola that was built with our permit, for example? And push some into the lawn, but it's very difficult for me to, I have a vague understanding of the site sections, but not fully because it's a little confusing for me.
site visit or no, Tim?
To me, I think it'll be beneficial, but it's up to other board members.
Anybody else or just the two of us? Please.
I mean, I guess maybe I could certainly do a site visit if that helped. And my point is, I think that we're, obviously we're trusting some of the photos and what we see and what we heard, what we're told. So, I mean, I wouldn't need a site visit, but I'm happy to do it.
Just I'd like the board to know there's only 2 oaks that are being removed. The rest are olives and a palm tree. And then to the north is an arbutus and a Monterey cypress that Paul planted. So they're not native.
Straw vote. People that would like to do a site visit? 1, 2, 3. People that don't want to do a site visit or don't feel a need to. 1.
I'm on the fence.
I think we should do it. You're not here, so you don't get to vote.
No, I know, I'm being very quiet.
So-
What I was gonna say though is I think you guys should do it.
Okay, and then make your case, and then, if, we'll see what happens, and if there are alternate locations on the site and whatever, and make your case at that point. So I think we should do it. I think I rarely vote for 10-foot high site walls.
Is there any advantage to having like one corner staked or something? with
I
the
think they
height of
can
the
wait
fence?
for hands. I think we're gonna figure out about where this.
Yeah,
is.
what I mean, the height of the fence and all that kind of stuff. You're not so
It's as
concerned about,
high as you can jump and as high as Michael Jordan can jump.
which is pretty top, pretty high.
Pretty tall.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let's put you on for preliminary next time after the site visit, and we'll see what happens. And please explore other options to see if there's other ways to do this, Sam. Or I'm
We
happy
have.
to vote against it and the board can vote for it, so. Site visit? Okay, let's do a site visit. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We will see you next year sometime. Dave has a
This will be scheduled for preliminary final
preliminary final next time.
on,
Dave needs to leave for an item, on this item.
Yeah, let me collect all those.
Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you. See you around the block.
Okay.
Sooner or later.
Sure, we'll see you.
Yeah. Right.
Item number 6, 1705 Glen Oaks Drive.
Oh, I got here's Glen Oaks again. We've been trying to get this on the agenda.
There, is somebody online for this, please?
Yes, can you hear me? This is Jennifer Siemens.
Hi, Jennifer. Yes, we can. Are you alone or are you with Ron or
Nope.
what?
I have, we have our architectural representation, the owner, and the landscape architect here.
Okay, excellent. So you are the last item of the year.
Oh, wow.
There is a comment letter and it's a 2-story building, right?
Yes.
So we will have, if the board follows its normal procedure, we will have a site visit for this project. So
Okay.
please go ahead.
Okay, so just to orient you all, 1705 Glen Oaks, you probably all know the property. It's on the south side of East Valley Road between Randall Road and Park Lane. It's a vacant lot. It's 0.87 acres. It had a house on it that was damaged in the mudslide a few years ago, and it was subsequently demolished. The FAR here is 3,975 square feet, and the proposed project is a 3,933 square foot house with an attached 714 square foot garage. So we're under the FAR. We have coordinated with flood control as much as we can at this point. We had a civil engineer analyze the area because it's in the FEMA elevation area. And it was determined that the house has to be raised about 3 feet to get to the finished floor elevation that meets the requirement there, but will still be well under the height limit. Because of the orientation of the site, it has 2 front yard setbacks. So the section along East Valley Road will be a front yard setback. And then the section along Glen Oaks will be a front yard setback. And then on the sides, you'll have side yard setbacks there. Let's see what else. So we have worked with the HOA.
Excuse me. So the vicinity map is not correct?
I think it's right.
No, the dot.
Oh, is the dot in the wrong place?
I thought way up in the left.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah, I was
It's right.
wondering
It's the
why is
first,
that?
yeah, the first lot as you enter Glen Oaks.
We see the story poles.
The
Yes,
story-
exactly.
You can see the story.
Yeah, so that's the lot on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Tip. I didn't even notice that.
I was wondering what the hell is this?
Okay,
Yeah.
please, Jennifer,
Okay,
we're
so-
gonna see the property and stuff, so I don't know how detailed you need to be at this point, please.
I was just gonna mention that the HOA, we've met with them. They did a thoughtful review of our plans and that resulted in this letter, dated December 11th, their approval letter. And then I can end my section here and hand it over to Ron.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron. I represent Urban Design Specialists. Thank you for your time and thank you for opportunity to present our project. If we can go to the next exhibit, please. Okay, so this is our flood exhibit. This is where we determine the height of our finished floor, which is going to be 3.5 feet above the existing grade. So we are proposing no grading, zero grading on a site. We are elevating our finished floor, and we're still managing to be under height limit, which is 35 feet. Our proposed height is right under 32. If we can go to the site plan, please. Next. Yes. Okay, so the footprint of the building pretty much defined by several conditions on the site. First, we have, like Jennifer mentioned, 2 frontages, so we have 50-foot setback from both East Valley Road and Glen Oaks. So that restricted us to what we have. We have a drainage channel pretty much in the middle of the property, which we don't want to cross, even though we do have deck over it, but we're not touching it with our footings. So that's another restriction on west side. And then we have oak trees throughout the property, and we are not encroaching under any of the drip lines of those oak trees. So that left us with what we have for our building placement, which very closely matches to what there used to be there before it got destroyed. So we're pretty much repeating same location, give or take, of the house. We are proposing a pool in the future. That's approximate location where we think it should be, at about 84 feet away from San Isidro Creek, which we have another 50-foot minimum setback from it as well. The way we place the pool also, we're trying not to disturb any root system of any of those oak trees, because both us and the ownership really appreciate the nature of the site, and we want to keep it the way it is without hurting it. So that's the logic of why the building where it is. And if we can go to the next slide, please. This is our area calculation, but this is good exhibit to show how how's our building angulated, how we use step backs, additional pushbacks on the upper floor. Above is the first floor, and lower image is the second floor. You can see how it's pushed back. The lower facade is facing Glen Oaks. The upper facade is facing the street. If we can go to the next, please. So this is our first floor plan, our 4-car garage. I don't know how much we need to go through the overall flow of the interiors.
My guess is that you could get right to the elevations. As I said, we're gonna be out on the site and we can get into it then.
Okay, if we can go back really quick to the two back to the roof plan. Yeah, we proposing mansard roofs. It's a little more complicated to build or drain, but we don't want to push the building to the maximum height. So our decision was to create this kind of a roof system to still have sloped roofs, but not to push it all the way. So if you can go to the next one section really quick, it will show there. So those are our roofs, and now we can go to the elevations if you don't mind. Next slide. There's still sections. Yeah, this is black and white. Maybe one more for the color. Well, 2 more.
They actually have color elevations.
Yeah, one more. There you go. No, go back one, please. We can go back one.
Up one, Dave. Please, David.
There you go. So, okay, the lower elevation is the one that facing Glen Oaks. The one above is the entry to the house. That shows also how the second floor is pushed back. And on the south elevation, you see how the balcony, we try to soften it with landscape. With planting over there, the right portion has a roof in the middle. And if we can go back to next one, please. North elevation, you see the clear story windows under the roof. This elevation is facing East Valley Road, has a beautiful mountain views if you look above the East Valley Road, but it does have noise coming from the road, so that's the reason of the amount of fenestration and how it's placed in this elevation. And the west elevation is facing the pool. You can see there how the building is elevated. If we can go to the next slide, please. This is our preliminary palette for the finishes, and we worked with HOA very closely on materials. We had slightly different scheme before, then we redesigned the house. We added more articulation to the facade. We decided to use Santa Barbara sandstone, a local material. That's what we're proposing to use. We're using some natural wood cladding. For the roof, we're proposing to use standing seam metal roof and matching metal fascia and soffits. Preliminary handrail detail, we're trying to match, give it, if you would, a little more up-to-date rural look. Lighting up and down, no lights facing straight out. And if we can skip the next one and go to 815, please. Yeah, this is just one of the renderings entering from the driveway. One thing I didn't mention, the driveway is existing, it's in existing location, and it is to remain just to be repaired. So we're not opening any new driveway. This rendering does not accurately represent the finish of the paving. This will be permeable paving. It's shown better on our site plan and on our eventually on landscape plans. This will have scored lines with grass in it, so it doesn't have heavy concrete impression. And next slide is the rendering from the back. Next one, please, facing Glenox.
And do you have a landscape plan, please, or
We
not?
do. Yes, we do.
We see that?
Yes. Do we need to go through side pictures so we can skip through those?
We're gonna be out there. That's gonna tell us much more than pictures.
Okay, then we can skip and go straight to L1. So here's the landscape plan. I just want to add a couple things before I pass it over to Ryan, who's our landscape architect. We worked again very closely with Glenox Estates HOA. One of their wishes was to not have a solid wall, green wall along Glenox, which we 100% agree with them. It creates this tunnel effect. So we worked out together this staggered pattern of green separation from Glenox. So that's the reason why they're placed that way. It was community's wish also to see more olive trees, which we believe works perfect with the neighborhood as well. So we implemented some olive trees, and we have some meandering walks, try to add some more interest to the property. And as for East Valley Road, there is an existing row of landscaping that buffers the property from the street, and we proposing to use the same species to provide some privacy from Glenox. We are not proposing anything tall because first we want some level of privacy for the new owners who are hoping to retire and live in this area long enough, hopefully. But then they have beautiful views from above. So we don't want to create anything taller than 8 to 10 feet. It will help them with privacy in their backyard. It will help the community, and it will not create anything overly tall. And yet they will be able to enjoy their views facing south. And that's pretty much it on my side. And Ryan is here to help answer any questions for the landscape. There's another sheet of landscaping, by the way. I think there.
Are you done then, please?
I'm sorry?
Are you done then, please?
I'm done. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so questions, Robert?
What is the slope of that, roof, the short portions?
It's 6 to 12. Yeah, we don't have it shown. Look at that.
Okay.
Bill?
Along those same lines, did you look at the idea of doing just a low slope roof instead of a mansard, like a 2 and 12 on the metal, at least on the upper roof?
We thought about it, but it's a good looking roof, this type of roof, which we see throughout the neighborhood, and we figured if we give it a little more slope, better to see it. And we're still open to not do the mansard and take it all the way up. We just try to minimize the height.
Do you have the height available to
I
do that?
We do, yeah. We have 35 feet available, and we are right now at 27.8.
Okay. And then that little drainage swale, so there's no setback requirements to the drainage swale, huh?
As of right now, what we know, no.
Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Blair, questions?
How much was, was flood control, how above natural grade is this house? Because I'm sure that flood control gave you those numbers. So I'm just wondering how tall, how much above natural grade this house is? What?
3.5 feet.
Oh, 3.5 feet.
Yep, 3.5.
And then the other question, in the drawings, you showed a drawing of a gate. Where is the gate?
We're still working on it. We want to recess it from the, let me see if the landscape plan is showing. 1 second. We want to recess it certain, probably maybe 15 feet from the edge of the road so the car can stop before entering traffic.
Well, I know, but what I'm trying to do, say in this drawing that we see right in front of us, where is the gate? And does that mean that there's a fence where the gate is, or like, I'm just.
Let's go to the landscape plan.
If you could go to L1.
I don't know, it just went by on the things and you know, it was in the drawings of.
Yeah, it's, if you don't mind zooming in on the middle of the driveway.
So where is the gate located in this drawing?
So on the driveway, right there, Dave.
There you go.
Oh, down there.
Yeah,
There.
there it is,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I was trying to figure. Okay, so then if the gate is across the driveway, what, is it just a freestanding gate, or is there? I mean, there's all the landscaping, but what is it, what is the gate hooked up to, is what I'm.
There's 2
No,
pilasters.
behind the
I see the
landscape.
pilasters, but then for me, that I'm asking, okay, there's the gate, there's the pilaster. What is there a fence? Is there anything or surrounding the property that supports having a gate?
Yes, we will be proposing 6 foot high fence behind the landscaping. As of materials, we haven't got there yet, but whatever we propose, we're thinking something as transparent as possible to disappear in the landscaping. Nothing prominent, probably some kind of metal in the color that will blend with the landscape.
Okay, well, it's up to you guys because
Hmm.
that makes no sense to me if having a gate with pilasters, it's not, there's no reason to have a gate if you.
He's
don't
gonna have a
fence.
6-foot high fence, he just said.
Yeah,
He's, Okay.
Well, but it's, the fence is not on any of the drawings. Is what I'm
Yeah.
worried.
This is concept first drawing. Tip,
Yeah.
questions?
No questions.
And Rob, questions?
Yeah, my presumption is you would have, need to have some kind of fence for the swimming pool by code. I believe, although I know there's more than one way to kind of meet that. I'm not understanding, one of the things I'm not understanding is how are you getting from the pool? I see there's swale and I see the rear kind of deck that's kind of floating, and then you've got these concrete pads that kind of access over to the pool, and then they cross looks like a concrete V ditch or something like that. So I'm not sure how those two things interact. Whether no steps, there's no, you know, you're up high up the level of the house and then you're kind of coming out. So I'm not understanding how the drawing is.
Right. This is Ryan, landscape designer. When we initially laid this out, I had not had the elevations yet. So that's remaining to be figured out. So there will be steps coming down from that raised deck. So the steps will come down over the swale and they'll resolve at the concrete stepping pads that lead over to the pool.
So you're a landscape designer, you're not a contractor, you're not a landscape
Landscape
architect?
designer, contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you mentioned landscape architect, that's why.
Well, yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, there's some things that need to be, well, those are comments. So that was the thing I didn't understand. So thank you.
Okay, questions. Is there are story poles out on the site and have been for quite a while. At this moment, do they accurately represent what is on the drawings today? Or have you changed the drawings without changing the story poles, please?
No, the story poles accurately represent what's on the plans.
Okay, today. Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Public comment, we have at least one letter. Yes, and I think this is from the HOA. The AC has reviewed and approved the proposed plans due to the unusual shape of the lot and setback constraints. The architectural committee, which we're going to call the AC, is agreeable to the placement of your proposed two-story home at that address. Okay, a pool on the western half of the property is acceptable. The attention to detail is creating a flatter roof line to minimize the height of your proposed step backs along the front of the house to minimize visual bulk is appreciated. So Bill, that goes to your comment. Varying planes along the front and the varied textures and palette, including the use of Santa Barbara stone, are approved by the architectural committee. The balcony railing is approved. The roof is noted on page A13 as standing seam. We approve this color choice of gray, but note that other colored pages of the roof appears to have varying colors. Landscaping is proposed in the rendering are approved. So without going into the details. So it looks like you have general support from the local homeowners association at this point. So is there anyone else that would like to address the board on item number 6, 1705 Glen Oaks Drive?
No requests.
Okay, so comments, as I've said, we are doing a site visit. It sounds like the story poles are up and are accurate now. If we drive by it, want to take a look at it. So comments, going the same order, Robert.
General, I like the project. The roof seems a little truncated. You know, maybe a 4 and 12 would give you a little more roof to look at, but I like the architecture and I think the design is well done, and the landscaping and elevations I know can be worked out. So I support the project.
Bill, comments, please.
Yeah, I think generally, I'm in favor of the project. Once we see story poles, obviously to solidify that, landscaping on the East Valley roadside will be kind of critical. So knowing the heights of some of those plantings over there will be important to help screen from the street. And, I'm still, I think maybe Robert's comment of maybe a shallower slope on that mansard would make it not feel so much like a mansard and maybe more like a regular roof. And I think you could probably even do just a standard roof on it unless it's super complicated in terms of drainage and layout. So I think I would rather see, I'm not a fan of the mansard concept, but anyway, there might be a way to achieve that with a shallower pitch and longer length. Yeah, generally, those are my comments. Thank you.
Claire, comments?
Oh. I wasn't gonna make any comment. I think I'm just gonna pass because I'm not gonna be here in the future.
Tip, comments?
My comments really for the future.
I appreciate the fact that the site is extremely difficult, and I think you're absolutely right in placing the house in the only spot remaining. But the architectural style is a little bit, I don't know. I think it's massive. It's bulky. I'm really concerned about some of the windows facing East Valley Road, and because when you're driving up East Valley, you just see clearly the north and the west. And those big windows at nighttime, it will be really in your face. And the roof line bothers me a lot. So I think the location is right. The material is fine. But I think the massing, I'm to have an issue with the massing, the way that the house designed, and same at the placement of the windows. Thank you.
Rob, please, comments?
Thank you. I agree with the tip. I think you have a lot of the right pieces. It doesn't feel like it is all coming together for me architecturally. I'm a little concerned as far as the landscape seems, it almost seems really busy. There's a real lot going on. So I guess, and without me interrupting where you want to go with the style, it doesn't feel like, I guess it seems like it could integrate to the site a little bit more. And maybe it's because the whole pool and all that element is so strong. And it takes up so much room that then trying to get the pathway, that all seems kind of forced in there. So it seems a little tight. So I guess I encourage you to simplify it a little bit and maybe take advantage of some of the grades and change of elevation, because that doesn't seem, some of the elevation changes that I think are there are not being shown at this point. Also, I think to Claire's point, I think if you're going to need a fence, I believe. I may be wrong on that. There's different ways to meet code. But if you need a pool fence, could you please show that? And I think that might help kind of tie in with the auto gates. There is a setback on it. They need to be about 25 feet. And but I mean, it's like I said, there's a lot of nice pieces in there, and I think, so I just think it needs some refinement and a little more elegance. And I think it will come together. And then the only other comment I have, and this is just the deck itself just feels like it's floating and it leaks. I'd almost, if you're going to do that stone, like maybe have it supported in a few places with some really kind of strong, thick pillars or something, or piers, rather than kind of the more flimsy little poles that come up there. I think it would be a little more successful and kind of tie back to the house a little bit. But I mean, anyways, those are my comments. Thank you.
I think that landscaping is extremely important in this community, and I think Tip's concern about the west of the north elevation may very well go away with the proper landscaping, so that as cars drive by, you can't see the windows because they're completely hidden. The view on this house is to the north, up to the mountains, and it's up. some views are out and some are down to the ocean, but this one is clearly up. And if there was a way to focus the visual character, particularly on the north side, so that as you sit and walk in that main space up, I think that you can eliminate some of the light that will come straight out to the roadway and will also help with the, that can get blocked with the landscaping straight out. I concur about that upper roof. Jennifer, I know that you continued this item at least twice because of the HOA, and I don't know if this is opening a hornet's nest, but I'm wondering if there's a way to check by lowering the slope. I'm not so sure how low a standing metal seam can go. Is it 2 and 12? I think you can do 2 and 12 and try taking it all the way up and seeing if if the neighbors would blow a fit on that. I think that the upper roof, I think that the lower one over the garage with a ability to use that as a deck, I believe it's off the master bedroom, is clever and, makes a lot of sense to have some kind of a mansard, but if you could get the upper roof fully as a full roof, I think it's going to help, number one, with the drainage, and number two, I think it's going to help the aesthetics significantly. So please schedule I guess get a planner if you haven't already, and then we'll see you out on the site. And I think back for preliminary, is it close enough?
Yeah.
With the conception.
He thinks further conceptual. Rob, I've got 2 further conceptuals. What do you guys say? Yeah, further conceptual, and then we'll try to get you moved on from there, Jennifer, okay?
So can we come back further concept / preliminary, just in case?
Oh, no,
No? Okay.
but if you guys get it all figured out, we can put you on preliminary, final, on consent
Okay.
at the next meeting, but you've got to really get it all figured out, okay?
Yeah, and then in regard to the poles, now, is it gonna be critical that they stay up until this next site visit, or?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, okay.
yeah, we need to get up close and personal to them, please.
And we'll want to see that story pole plan too, so we know what the poles are
Yeah,
representing.
where they're exactly located, okay?
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the board,
thank you.
we have elections for officers is on the first item of next, or actually the second item, public comment first, and then at the beginning of next meeting. If you remember, Brian, our county council representative, came and chatted with us last year and said it is an official vote, an official item on our agenda. So no chit-chatting about who should and shouldn't, and what I wanted. We'll just figure that out at the next meeting. Okay? And
We're done.
would you like to make the motion to adjourn?
I will be delighted to make a motion to adjourn.
Would somebody be delighted to have her no longer with us?
I would regretfully second it, but
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Everybody declare no. Everybody, including Doss,
I was looking.